So that was Mrs. Lundegaard and the floor in there? And I guess that was your accomplice in the wood chipper. And those 3 people in Brainerd. And for what? For a little bit of podcasting? There's more to life than a little podcast, you know. I feel like I went a little too Dennis Farina.
Sure, yeah. Well, yeah, you were about to
I went
order
full Chicago.
order a deep dish.
I was gonna dip my beef sandwich.
Yeah. Too many lines I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
I am at the point with this movie, and our guest can speak up if he agrees. Please just
That's
start talking.
Kind of you to give him permission to talk.
Where there's lines where I'm like, iconic line from Fargo that I think are just normal expository lines. But like I've watched the movie so many times at this point that like Prowler needs a jump is one of my favorite lines from Fargo.
Yeah. I'm not
Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. I'm not gonna say we need to like fully
Han? Yeah. Prowler needs a jump. I just like that's funny to me. I mean, it's supposed to be funny, but like to me that's like fucking, Dalton Trumbo wrote that. Probably.
So to this point, let's check to see if the keys on the typewriter are wet or not. Yeah. Let's not accuse Dalton Trumbo. He's been accused of a lot of things in his time. I'm not looking to build the canon here. We've covered a lot of great movies on the show. Sure. 10 years, a decade of dreams.
Sure.
I do think there is a pretty limited canon of like perfect movies in the history of cinema, but especially within the limited range of what we've covered in the last 10 years. And a lot of that is like a lot of movies that I think are masterpieces have like woolliness or weirdness that I love that works for me, but this like this is a rare movie where you're like, there's not a hair out of place. And to that end, even like just sort of shoe leather dialogue is so specifically honed in on character and then so nailed in performance that then the rhythm of it feels like, well, that's like an iconic thing. The 4th time she says, yeah.
He's fleeing the interview.
Yeah.
He's fleeing the interview.
Yeah.
It's true. Every line in this is a quotable line. Kind of like Big Lebowski has that.
Yes.
Where like you could pick any line, you throw a dart at the board and you can hear it if you read it. It's like tattooed in the mind. And this movie does that. I was watching it again last night and I was thinking about how perfect this movie was. And I was looking, I was like, is there a hair on the head of this movie that I would change? And I have one moment.
Yeah.
And I don't even think it's wrong. It's not broken. It's great. But there's a weird moment in this movie that I locked in on this time. And I've seen this movie 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And it's more of just a question. And I wonder if you guys have the same issue. May I? Is this okay?
No,
Please,
I love it.
please.
I'm just trying to think of you being like, I just don't like that lady who played the cop. I just thought she was kind of off, kind of
she
bad
talks
performance.
Too much.
We're like, what's with all their accents?
No, but there's a moment where we dissolve from Steve Buscemi's pounding on the TV. He's like, fuck.
Yes.
Fuck.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? And then we go to the hard cut.
We dissolve
to
the screen and we have the bugs on the screen.
Yeah.
And we pull out and we realize that Marge and her husband are watching TV at night. And, she says, time to turn in. And he kind of wakes up. And then we do a dissolve to black. And then we fade up and the phone rings. And it's Mike Yanagita.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering, I was like, why do we go from a scene with them in bed to a scene with them in bed with this dissolve in the middle? And she answers. And I was like, I wonder if they were hedging their bets that maybe they would cut the Mike Yanagita out. Like maybe they were nervous that like this storyline may not work. It's a risk. So we got the sexy transition that we love. Like, because they could have easily cut straight to the Mike Yanagita phone call. They didn't have to do that cool TV.
This is what happens when you've been shipping for 100 viewings, where you start to just be like,
is there
like you've gone so deep. I know what you're saying.
I mean, we're also going to spend 40 minutes on Mike Yanagita.
No, we're
yeah.
not.
Yes, we
we'll
are.
Spend
1 hour.
We have to go deep into Mike Yanagita.
We have to go deep.
I just saw him, Steve Park, right? The actor's name.
Great.
In The Phoenician Scheme, literally 2 hours ago.
It feels like is having a bit of a renaissance again. Has been so reclaimed by Wes. Yeah. And we'll talk about it for an hour. I'm going to pin that to the board.
Sure.
But that scene in and of itself is a thing that I feel like for a long time people were like, why is this fucking in here? What is
the
Yanagita scene?
Crucial turning point of Marge's character.
Yes,
it's obviously a vital scene.
It is the scene in the movie. But I watched it last night, and then almost immediately after finishing it, I was like, "Am I gonna fucking put this back on and watch this again?" Because I had the impulse to watch it, or at least scrub through and study. When do they do the fade to black? They do
Are
it.
you joking? You had that same thought about that exact same fade to black and
not
why
that one, but I got kind of stuck on not like it was bumping on
black.
Me. They do, but
there's
I was
one
just,
right at the start of the movie.
Right, I was like, okay, there are like 5 or 6 of them,
right?
And is there any pattern I can discern as to when they fade to black, as opposed to like cross dissolve or just hard cut? And then I was like, this is the kind of shit that they mock when people try to write essays about like why they made the editing choices.
They still care about it.
They
and
do.
They're still so precise and intentional.
Absolutely.
And it's worth exploring this and wringing your hands about this sorts of things because they're that meticulous.
This is the fascinating thing about them is I'm sure if you ask them, they would say, it just felt right.
Sure.
We just got in the room and it just felt like a rhythm and energy thing.
How they talk about things.
And yet, everything in their movies is so perfectly placed and so precise and so controlled, as you said, and feels so meaningful that you're like, there has to be something for me to solve here.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And I guess, we'll eventually get to Serious Man, where the movie is almost built mystery. Around, them.
Mike Yanagita telling you to accept the mystery.
Yeah.
Same actor.
Yeah.
Fargo is the film, but what's the podcast?
This is Blank Check with Griffin and David. I'm Griffin.
David. Wow.
Who's David? You're just saying a word.
You betcha I'm David.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's a podcast about filmographies, directors who have massive success early on in their careers and are given a series of blank checks to make whatever crazy passion projects they want. And sometimes those checks clear and sometimes they bounce baby.
So when the sex worker is riding the escort, the second one is riding Carl Buscemi.
Trying to get him to ring the bell.
I hear bells. I'm like, did the Coens write that? It is such an odd line. Yep. I love it, to be clear.
Yep.
Or did she go like, you know what? You know, like were they like, what would you,
I feel like it has to be right.
I think they write everything.
And I'm sure
it's got to be.
Yeah, right. I don't think there's a lot of improvisation.
There's that story that Peter. Oh my God.
Stormare. Yeah, right.
Jesus Christ, that would have been bad. He tells that story about he's shooting that scene and he thought there was a typo in the script for the where is pancake house.
Where
right?
is pancake
house? He changed it on take one. He goes, where's the pancake house? And like Joel came up and was like, hey, it says where's Pancake's house. It's like, like they are that specific.
And to that point, William H. Macy
hear bells. I'm just like, imagine having sex with someone and they go, I hear bells. Sorry, go on.
Or worse than that is, where are you? Where are you?
Where are you?
So emasculating. Where are you? Jesus.
William H. Macy has said that like
that girl, Shep.
Every single stammer is written in that way. Like there's no sort of like riffing on the run up.
There was something he improv that they let in, and I cannot remember what it is.
Yeah.
I'll find it.
But yes, I hear bells. It feels like that has to be something they heard happen to someone they knew that they never forgot and joked about internally, and we're gonna put that in a movie someday.
Right.
They don't seem like the guys who like hang out with their buddies and talk about like sex stories.
No.
You
know what it feels like? It feels like they overheard a stranger say that at a bar.
One of the few instances
talking to his buddies
is that he kept calling the Sienna burnt umber, which was not in the script, but the Coens were amused and let that in. Because Macy's he's like a theater rascal. He likes to, ad lib.
Yeah.
He also did the doodles. He was just doodling.
I know that.
And they were like, oh, that's funny.
Right. That was him in between setups, just making those sort of like weird geometric patterns.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Listen. Massive success early on in the career, series of blank checks, crazy passion projects. This is their first clear. This is their first unqualified. Right? Like this movie was a hit. This is their first movie that didn't lose money. They are a rare case of a snapshot.
Raising Arizona lost money? I don't think so.
Let's look it up.
No.
Blood Simple couldn't have lost money, right?
Raising Arizona cost $5 million and made like 30 worldwide.
Okay.
Like, I think that movie is their first clear.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But right, Barton Fink, Miller's Crossing, Hudsucker all made less than they cost. But 2 of those 3 were like critically adored.
Yes.
And it was like, these guys have the goods. We have to keep letting them do their thing. And this obviously breaks through on a whole other level. Of course, this is their 1996 film Fargo, which is based on the popular FX series. They made an interesting choice at this point in their career to adapt a TV show to film.
Yes, of course. They love the TV show, I'm told.
They love it.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm sure they have never seen frame.
I am also sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not even saying that in a derogatory way. I'm just sure they're kind of like, oh, okay.
Right. When the show was announced, there was this sort of like, and the Coens gave it their blessing. And then later it came out that they were like, yeah, we don't care. If you want to do a show, that's fine.
Right.
Not that they were dismissive, but they were just like, we made the movie. You do whatever you want. Because there's also the weird fucking sitcom pilot.
Was that a sitcom?
Fargo?
Edie Falco?
I guess it was.
No, it was like a crime show.
A comedy procedural. There was like an NBC pilot directed by Kathy Bates with Edie Falco playing Marge Gunderson.
Yeah.
Really?
In the 90s, like a year or two after Fargo.
No. Well, oh yeah, it was in the 90s, right? It actually aired in the 2000s as part of like a brilliant but canceled. Right. Yeah.
Yes.
And wait, Kathy Bates was in this? So I guess Kathy Bates did work with the
directed
Coen brothers.
She directed it.
No,
thank you, Zach. Thank you for bringing that up. And we should introduce our guest.
This is additional ammunition to the idea that there's some quiet feud between Kathy Bates and the Coens.
She didn't do the dishes.
She directed the pilot that they had no involvement in.
Oh,
it almost feels vindictive that she's like, I'll make my Fargo. You guys don't have the rights.
Yeah, that's I've never seen it, the Edie Falco thing. Have you ever seen it?
I've not seen it either.
She's pregnant in it, I know, which is sort of funny.
Yeah, like
that they're
what
like,
was the
she's just
long-term
pregnant
plan
again.
there?
Yeah,
was she going to be pregnant for 5 seasons?
Yeah, I don't know.
We're talking Fargo. Our guest today is the great filmmaker, the director of Barbarian.
Yeah,
the upcoming Weapons, which will be coming out right around the time of this episode.
Well, so this episode drops, Zach, on August 17th. So his Weapons just come out.
It will be out for a week and change.
Wow. Well, you know what? We did a pretty good job lining up. Weapons.
Zach Cregger.
Thank you for having me.
Sorry for yelling weapons.
I love the show, so I'm really excited.
It's very kind of you to say.
That's really sick and disgusting. I mean, that's the kind of depraved shit that the director of Weapons would say. I love blank check.
We met last summer, and you said that to me, and I said that's stupid, and your response was, "Why do you think that's stupid?" I appreciated you being like, "You have a show that people like. I don't understand why you're immediately turning this into an insult to me and a self put down." You cut through it very quickly, but it has been a dream to have you on since then. We have a mutual friend, Leslie Headland.
Yes, we do.
I said, we're doing the Coens. I feel like this might be a moment to ask Zach. Texted you, and you and Leslie both locked into the same 2 movies.
Right. Started fighting over him, essentially.
Yeah.
I wanted Fargo because this is quite arguably my favorite movie of all time. And I think she might feel similarly.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys had offered me No Country, which is also what an amazing. I mean, it's an honor. I whatever. But I don't know. I wanted Fargo really bad. I didn't know if she cared as much as I cared, and so we had kind of a little round and round about who got what. But she was very cool to give me this.
Look, it's a win-win. It's like 2 masterpieces.
Yeah,
I could see both of you being good on both episodes.
It's funny that Leslie was like, I feel like you should just take the classier movie. And I was like, which one is classier than the other? They're both very classic.
I think No Country is classier in that it won Best Picture. It's an adaptation of a sort of a novel from a great American novelist. So it's maybe mildly, quote unquote, classier. Mm-hmm. This movie has a lot of Minnesota accents in it and stuff. It's a little goofier. You had just worked with Josh Brolin, of course, in Weapons. So you were sort of like, well, that would be interesting to talk about. But he's not in Fargo.
Is that right? He's not?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe he played the big statue of Paul Bunyan. I don't know.
There's a bit of a resemblance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have worked with Mr. Brolin, who, of course, is a Coen's fave.
But is this kind of your default gun to your head favorite movie?
It would be like a coin toss between this and Boogie Nights.
Okay.
A year apart. So it just goes to show that, 16, 17, when these movies came out, it's like my formative, film buff years or whatever I'm trying to say. So yeah, these both hit me in the sweet spot and made a mark.
Barbarian, it's a phenomenal movie. It kind of blew me away when I saw it in theaters. And it felt like it had this mini phenomenon of people being like, where the fuck did this come from? It felt like the movie just came out of nowhere.
Yep.
And I really enjoyed the party trick of telling people when they were like, have you seen Barbarian? That thing rules. responding with like, that was directed by one of the whitest kids you know, which people could not believe. But you have this arc of like, right. But like in a cool way. And I also think there's this weird cultural thing of like a sketch comedy to a horror movie pipeline that seems to be growing. But you also go to
There's two examples. Is there more? I guess
you got two examples
Kyle,
there, buddy.
Mooney.
Yeah, I'd say
that's made a horror movie.
Okay, so now we're looking at 4.
Yeah, why not? Actually, yeah, Showalter should try a horror movie. I'm trying to think about like who are big sketch legends now.
Yeah,
that we could who have transitioned to filmmaking.
Chevy Chase should direct a horror movie. Now's the time.
Great sketch comic, Chevy Chase. Yeah. I know he was once a great sketch comic.
But you all, that group formed from all of you guys going to film school together, right?
Well, we were in the same dorm together.
Okay.
So we went to different schools, but we all were in the same spillover dorm in Brooklyn. That, like, if you were late on your housing application, you lived in the St. George Hotel. So it just kind of attracted.
You lived at the St. George Hotel?
I lived in the St. George Hotel.
Above Clark Street Station.
You got it.
I'm incredibly familiar.
That is so funny. How do I know? I'm a dork.
I went to high school right by there.
What's it like at the St. George Hotel? I always wonder.
Well, it was different then. They've completely redone it now, but it was so bizarre because it was just like Animal House every night. But it used to be housing, and there were tenants that just never were evicted. So we'd be like drinking 40s and smoking blunts in the hallway.
Hell yeah.
And then a 90-year-old would get off the elevator and walk sadly through the pot smoke into his room. I mean, can you imagine you're 87 and they're like, we're turning this into a dormitory? It's just like, I can't imagine.
And the guy's like, I don't give a shit. I pay $60 a month. I'm never leaving. I live in Brooklyn Heights.
I went to high school right by there, and I was always like fascinated by the exterior and how much it kind of looked like a Barton Fink hotel, like it looked frozen in time. And I remember with my friend walking by and going like, I need to know, is this like an expensive hotel? And I walked into the lobby.
Marilyn Monroe stayed there.
Right, it was once expensive.
They shot The Godfather in the basement, and then they shot Big in there. That scene where he's like in the hood, and there's like gunshots and sirens, and he's afraid. You know,
that was in there. Wild.
Yeah, that's in the St. George.
Right. So I was like, this clearly looks like it used to be really fancy, but also looks so frozen in amber. I wonder how much it costs. So I walked in and was like, how much is a room? As like a 14-year-old. And whoever was at the desk was like, this is for college students.
Right, go away.
And then I was so fascinated by like, this has the outward appearance of a hotel, but also like rent-controlled senior citizens live there.
Yeah. It has a crazy history, that place. It was, I heard it was in a quarantine zone for AIDS patients. And so a lot of people died in there, like in the 80s. And I know there was like, it was a junkie, like a flop house shooting gallery at one point, and you used to walk by and there would be all these like bags on strings hanging out every window, which is where people would hide their heroin. Like out, it's had a crazy, and you know, in the glory days, it burned down and then was built. This cannot be interesting to any of your listeners.
No, this is good.
Kind of fun.
This is really good podcasting.
Kind of cool lore. But you did not see Fargo in college. You saw it prior. You saw it in high school.
I saw it in high school.
Did you see it in theaters? You're older than I.
did not see it in theaters. I don't believe I did. I don't think I did. I think I saw it on video, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I would have been, I was, I think, 12 when Fargo came out. I think you're a couple years older than me. Like I was a little too young to be toddling over to Fargo in the theaters.
Yeah.
This was a major.
I was 16 when it came out.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could have snuck in. I guess.
Yeah.
This was an early like DVD for me. Like I bought this on DVD and rewatched it over and over and over again.
Yeah. I feel like I had gotten so Coens pilled by the early 2000s that I remember watching this, seeing that it was going to play on cable, and being like, oh, this is my big blind spot. Already knowing in a pre-No Country era that like this was kind of considered their masterpiece.
Yes. I also, the Hallowell's Film Guide, which I think I brought up before, which is a gigantic textbook that doesn't exist anymore, but used to get published every year of every movie. And with ratings from 0 to 4 stars. Most movies get 0.
Yeah.
By a grumpy old fuck called Leslie Hallowell. He gave Fargo 4 stars.
Yeah.
And like that, he gave like 1 4 stars a year or whatever. Yeah. So I knew that Fargo was a big deal even when I was a little budding cinephile.
It was an infamous Siskel and Ebert movie too, that it was like a thing they both agreed on and were not only in agreement, but were like advocating so hard and were rapturous about it. There's the story I think maybe JJ put in the dossier of the two of them seeing the screening together and Ebert turning to Siskel and going like, this is why we do what we do.
Hell yeah.
And Ebert, like in his initial review, I think called it where he was like, this is one of the few perfect movies I've ever seen. And he like elevated it to his great movies list really early, but he just immediately was just like, this, I have rarely seen a film that so successfully achieves its ambitions.
I think it's really odd, though, that he didn't pick on that fade to black off of the TV.
Yeah. I mean,
right.
Come on,
it was kind of a hack.
Yeah, keep your head on a swivel, though.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus. Films like Fargo are why I love the movies, is how his review ends.
The thing I was going to say that's kind of funny is the first time I watched it, when I'm like 14 or 15, I remember not being underwhelmed by it, but going like, yeah, that's like another Coen Brothers movie.
Wow, that's fucked up.
It's so fucked up. And then
That's really awful.
I basically have watched it once every 2 years since then, and every time I see it, it gets better. It is one of those rare movies for me that, because I haven't yet clocked the weirdness of that one fade to black, every time I'm like, I get it more and more. And there's something just, I think what threw me off when I was seeing it the first time and had been so hyped up in my mind is, it is kind of very simple. It is such a like focused movie in a way. And I'm always surprised by how short it is.
Yeah, of course. I mean, all their movies are short. I mean, by and large. It's an economical film. It gets through a ton of plot. It's a plotty movie.
Yeah.
In 98 minutes. Like it's
And Marge is not introduced until minute 30 and solves the case by an hour and 20 minutes.
And yet it never feels rushed. It feels like kind of it moved at a lazy pace, and I mean that in the best way. You know, like they're hanging out in bed talking about stamps. You know, and you never feel it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So Fargo is good. Yeah, and Zach's here to talk about it. This is one of those movies. I'm serious. It's like one of those movies where I'm like, I don't know. We're not going to be like,
Fargo is
my
good.
thing about Fargo is it's actually bad. Like, no, Fargo.
But there is so much to debate about it, though. Like Dark Marge. Are we going to get into the Dark Marge?
Zach, I don't know what you're talking about, but I want to
Let's
know
unpack
what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't really know it either. Okay, so are you familiar? There's a podcast called No Podcast for Old Men. Do you know about this?
No, but it sounds like the kind of thing that exists in the world.
I'm surprised you don't. It's 3 philosophy professors.
Oh, you know what? I have
heard of this. Yeah, they go through the Coen Brothers filmography, and each episode is 2 hours long, and they only talk about them from a philosophical standpoint and the greater themes of every movie. It's pretty fascinating. And they have a 2-episode thing just for Fargo, and they get into why they consider Marge to be a dark character. And I think even Ethan acknowledged in an interview that he thinks of Marge as a dark character, which is really interesting because she's
somewhat angelic in her sort of presentation and her behavior. So why is she dark? I must know more. I'm going to find out if there's more on this.
That she is like that she is controlling a darkness within her.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think that there's a couple of approaches you could take to the Dark Marge theory. One is that she is, if you look at this movie through the lens of deception, right, and that applies on a lot of different layers. You know, for the opening text, which I'm sure we're going to get into, is a lie. You know,
Indeed.
Yes,
and every character is kind of a liar, and Marge is not immune to that. You know, her. Now, I don't. This is not my point of view, okay? But this is just me putting the Dark Marge theory out there. Is that the Mike Yanagita thing? She's just as complicit in the deceit as Mike.
Like
Yanagita.
that, she kind of knows it's maybe a little out of pocket to get lunch with Mike Yanagita. Like you think, like that she's no wide-eyed innocent. She's like, oh, she probably knows, like, oh, Mike had a bit of a crush on me or whatever. Yeah, sure.
She definitely, and you could even, Mike tells her on the phone he's in the Twin Cities.
Yeah.
And then when that other cop comes, and I noticed it on this watch, that other cop says, they made a call to a Shep Proudfoot in the Twin Cities. And she's like, well, maybe I'll take a drive down there. And everybody is kind of surprised.
Yeah.
You're going to drive all the way to the Twin Cities on a phone call? And she's like, yeah. And it's like, we can infer that she's going because she wants to see Mike Yanagita.
We can infer that. I'm not sure I do infer that, to be clear.
We could. We could. And then she's also, she's wearing a lot of makeup. She wants to go to a nice restaurant.
She looks nice.
She wants to wear makeup because you want to look nice.
She does want it to be reasonable, though. She wants the Marriott to be, hey, is it reasonable?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But it does feel like, right, there's something self-serving going on there, even if it's only I want the confidence boost.
The whole thing with Fargo is the Mike Yanagita scene.
Yes.
Because, like, the thing with Fargo is that it's perfect, and the first time you watch it, you're blown away by, you know, how dark it is and how funny it is the entire time, even though, like, horrible things are happening and all that, you know, and then just how visually striking it is. And so then you keep rewatching it, and then as you keep rewatching it, being like, Mike Yanagita scene's weird.
Yeah.
And then you realize, like, well, no, I see its plot purpose. It helps her realize, like, that she was lied to. It helps her, you know, sort of like in like shades, like, you know, the deception. And then you keep watching, and then you're like, okay, but like she's a cop, wouldn't she know? You know, then you start like asking, you know, it is so
because it's overly simple to read that scene as the Mike Yanagita exchange makes her realize for the first time that people could be lying.
Right.
Where you're like, no, she's a fucking cop. Of course she knows that. Yeah.
I know. Of course she knows that because she is such a good cop. She is unfazed by these 3 dead bodies she finds.
Right.
She has no problem getting on her hands and knees and examining the wounds from a completely professional clinical mindset. She's clearly done this a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And so it's odd that they would put so much shoe leather into be like, this is the moment she realizes that people can be bad.
Right.
People can lie. And it's like, what a wild thing to put into a hardened, seasoned gumshoe. You know, it's crazy, but it works.
So here I was going down some rabbit holes and theories. I didn't find the Dark Marge theory. Also, I feel embarrassed that there's a podcast called No Podcast for Old Men, and our miniseries is No Pod Country for Old Casts.
Yeah, who knows?
Whatever. Who gives a shit?
It's awesome.
Fuck me. Thank you.
Sorry, I did the ice thing.
You're doing the ice thing. Ben, it might be time to take away the cup.
No, I love my ice.
David loves chewing ice. No, if you're going to do it, I have to say it.
Sorry. I'm trying not to bite my nails. No. What was the theory?
It almost feels like a thing a character would do in a Coen Brothers movie during a dramatic scene is keep chewing ice and have Skip Leave say, just crank the audio up.
Skip Leave said, hit that ice hard.
The king. I was going down different Marge and Mike Yanagita readings. And one reading I saw that was interesting was they were saying it's basically the inversion of the scene you have in most noirs where a male hard-boiled detective who is hyper-cynical on the outside meets with a random woman, gets engaged in like a romantic liaison with her, and in the process uncovers something about the crime that shows how good he is at sussing out information, right? And this is like a complete flip of that where it's like a non-sexual encounter, right? This encounter of like weird, deep awkwardness and emotion in history where nothing physical happens. That's all about longing and like unrequited love, but also perhaps this like desire to be seen as desirable. And that it gives her this lesson that is not directly related to the crime she's trying to solve, is more just a philosophical reawakening of like, right, I should take a second look at this and not trust what people are saying, which like it is that simple, but also that's not giving the character enough credit. And then the thing I read, which I think I'd never heard before, is that scene was not originally in the script, obviously because Frances McDormand is married to Joel Coen and is more involved in the development of these movies and is probably hearing about them as they're going along, and knew that they were designing this character for her. Said at some point, I don't know if it was reading a finished script for the first time or if she was reading scenes as it went along, said, can you please give me a scene that can help me define my character that isn't me on the case or with my husband?
Right.
She said, there are only 2 modes I have in this movie.
Right.
It is either me in cop mode or me in wife mode, and I need you to give me one scene of additional context to show me relating to someone else to help me solve what this character is. And that was the scene they wrote. And then she said, like, when I read it, I was perplexed. I, like, didn't get it. I didn't get why this is what they wrote, and I couldn't make sense of the behavior in the scene. And her biggest thing was, and not that it was written differently, but, like, I want to avoid the temptation of letting this character be too saintly by being too considerate of his emotions in this scene. That the firmness she shows in kind of putting down the lines of going like, I'd feel more comfortable if you were sitting on the other side, but even just the energy as she's receiving everything he's saying, she was like, I can't just be like Mama Earth.
Which makes, I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. That's interesting. It does. Yeah, I don't know. Zach, what do you think? Do you think Marge is dark Marge? Is she going to join the Dark Avengers?
I don't think she's dark. I think I can't really embrace the Dark Marge theory, and I don't know if I've articulated it correctly at all. Like, I think there might be a more kind of complex thing behind Dark Marge that I'm completely missing here. But what I love about the Mike Yanagita scene is kind of what you just hinted on, is that she is riding this really delicate line of like, am I in cop mode? Am I in person mode?
Right.
You know, he is making this inappropriate advance, and I'm going to keep my Minnesota nice kind of demeanor here, but I'm also going to be firm and keep there's just so many things happening with her in that scene. And it's so funny. That scene is a masterpiece because there's so many layers happening. It works on so many levels, and it's so fucking funny. Mike Yanagita is
it's an incredible performance.
It's so funny.
Everything I've read about, there's a big interview with Steve Park that you can read. There was an Entertainment Weekly or something where he was like, I was convinced the scene would get cut because it has nothing to do ostensibly with the movie. And then Ethan Coen called him and was like, your scene like crushes, everyone laughs. And Steve Park was like, well, I was playing him as like this incredibly tragic person.
Yeah.
But like, it is a very funny, like cringy, uncomfortable. Like, I do think it's in this dark, very funny, but nonetheless dark movie. It is an interesting little breathing point.
Yes.
And that's probably another reason they were like, yeah, it functions. Like, don't take it out. Like, keep the Yanagita scene.
I don't know if this is their best movie. It is certainly in that top tier for me. They have made a handful of 5-star masterpieces in my mind. But this does feel like the ultimate Coens film in the same way we were saying in our Blue Velvet episode. Like, that's not my favorite Lynch movie, but it is the movie that is the best encapsulation at the right point in the bell curve of the development of power, where you're just like, this is every single thing they do well, every theme they find interesting, the holding of like all the tones at the same time. There's some interview
I totally agree.
Obsessed with where Ethan Coen, whenever people ask them like, what's your directing style or how do you work with actors? And there's some interview I got to find where Ethan Coen says like, I've never consciously directed an actor in my life. We like don't talk subtext with them. We write the script. If we give them notes, they're technical about just like what we need to do to get the take to work or whatever. And he said, over time and being asked that question so many times, the best answer I've ever come to is that directing is about tone management. And I think about that so much. And this movie is like the greatest study in that, where you're like, every scene is holding like 3 tones that should not be able to coexist. And they've made great films where the power is that they're able to successfully navigate the transitions in tone from scene to scene. But the like combination of putting the Minnesota nice with the sort of like deep darkness of man noir means that they're doing that tonal balance of like just what we're talking about in the Mike Yanagita scene, where you're just like, how can it be like these things simultaneously? How can it be like this funny and upsetting and confusing and clarifying?
I mean, not to toot Zach's horn, but you made a scary movie that was funny.
Yes.
But not funny in like a whatever, like not a parody scary. Like, you made a movie where I was laughing the entire time. I don't know if you were going for me laughing almost the entire time with Barbarian, but like it is a movie with a lot of humor in it without sacrificing any of the darkness.
And I think the humor similarly stems from really drilling into like the bizarreness of human behavior.
Yeah. So how'd you do that, big jerk?
One of the things that kind of crystallizes what the Coens are doing in Fargo. Thank you for that compliment. I'll say thank you. Is the Paul Bunyan shot where it's like underlit and Paul Bunyan, the big statue looks like demonic. It's that one shot is kind of like the perfect encapsulation of everything they're doing in this movie, where it's like this. First of all, it's crystallizing the location. All of their movies are so location dependent. It's kind of amazing, and this one is almost the most. And then it's this big kind of joyful thing, and they light it and shoot it like the scariest fucking thing you've ever seen.
With the fucking Carter Burwell score, which is like
the Carter Burwell score is maybe his best score. It's so amazing.
But like, even when Carter Burwell does comedies or has like branched
fucking
out,
bagpipes on that thing.
I just think there is always something ominous underneath any piece of music he has ever written.
He does have a bit of a like a what's gothic kind of like He's the best, Carter Burwell. Such a sweetie pie, too.
And this movie, with all of the zaniness that's definitely in here, his score never really acknowledges any of it. I mean, the closest the score gets to anything playful is when they're breaking into the house, and he's shattering the back door.
Yeah.
And she's running into the bathroom, and it's like that. It's just that plucky doom, doom,
right.
doom, doom. That's like
the build up.
That's the happiest we get,
I mean, that scene, the break-in, the kidnapping of her is a perfect encapsulation where that scene's very scary.
Yes.
And very, very upsetting and funny the entire time.
Yes.
And I know it is the most trite observation in the world to say that Fargo is a black comedy, and nonetheless I keep saying it, but it is the perfect black comedy. And I do think it was so transgressive, this movie. People were just like, I can't believe how funny it is given that people get murdered and families are sad.
Yeah.
There's something about that scene that has to be talked about. And by the way, are we ever going to start at the beginning and go to the end, or do we just
No,
go?
we will, and I'm going to open the dossier, and I'm sorry, we're jumping all around. It's just so exciting to talk about.
Well, I could wait till we get to that scene. There's a lot to say about how inept these guys are. First of all, Shep Proudfoot vouches for Gaear, not Showalter, right? So he likes Peter Stormare. He does not know Showalter, which is really funny.
Yeah,
incredibly funny to imagine Shep and Gaear hanging out.
I could see it.
Not
probably
talking
did time together and grunted at each other in jail, and we're like, "You're all right." Yeah. But it's just so amazing how fucking terrible these guys are at crime. It's especially every time I watch this movie, it blows my mind that Steve Buscemi knew they were gonna take this car, abduct a woman, put her in the back seat, and drive out of town, and he didn't have the forethought of putting the tags on the car that he had. It's like, oh, I forgot to change the tags. It's just the tags when they get pulled over. It's like, that's the first thing you should have done. They're terrible at crime. And then he wants to bribe the cop when he could have just shown him the tags. Okay, so all of that is just lunacy.
Yeah.
But then the front door is open, and yet he puts a ski mask on. He walks up the back porch, and you can look out that door and see 7 other houses.
There's a million other houses. Yes, they're not in the middle of nowhere.
Of what he's doing. And then he smashes this giant plate glass thing with a crowbar. It's got to be louder than a gunshot.
Yes.
It's just such a lack of thought. It's wild. And I love it, but it's just crazy how much these guys suck at what they're here to do.
It does feel like it is their single favorite thing to explore in movies is people who are so confident that they know how to pull off something that is incredibly complicated.
Yeah.
Sure. And it's usually crime.
Right.
But it's also just anytime someone's like, I think I can figure this out.
What trouble do you think Macy is in? Is he just underwater already in some other real estate speculation or whatever? Why does he needs so much money?
And I love that they don't tell you.
He's just I'm in trouble. Well, I am not going to talk about that. And
it's a 10% finder's fee on 750 is 75,000. That's not going to do it.
No.
He owes this other guy. He's bilking this other guy out of 350,000. This is 1987 in Minnesota. What have you done? How did you get in the hole like this?
I love thinking about it.
I mean, it's one of the most effective single lines in screenwriting history in my mind, which is when the Harv Presnell character says they will never need for money.
Oh, yeah. Right. It's the names of the characters.
Scotty and
Gene never have to worry.
Right. It's so perfect because I think from that moment you can extrapolate. William H. Macy has gotten in over his skis, basically, I assume, 5 years trying to figure out some big scheme to impress his father-in-law and be like, look how much money I made.
Right.
And the deeper he gets in the hole, the more he doubles down and tries to find some other way to not only bail himself out, but get out ahead. And he just keeps falling deeper and deeper and deeper. And it's that sentiment, which you just imagine he's been hearing things to this effect for so long, have gotten so deeply in his head, and yet that guy's read on him is 100% correct.
Yeah,
the most devastating thing is that he knows the guy knows he's got him pegged.
Does anybody like Jerry?
No, he sucks.
He sucks, right?
Does Gene and Scotty like Jerry?
I don't think they do.
I think they tolerate him.
I think Gene thinks he's all right.
Scotty seems kind of embarrassed by him.
Yeah, although Scotty's so into accordions.
Yes.
And another
that's an amazing poster.
Unaddressed thing is that the two things on his wall are a Whitesnake poster and an accordion poster.
But the evidence that no one likes him is how quickly all of his customers are like, fuck you.
Yeah, and his coworker who's chewing the burritos, like, you got extra tickets? And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
That is what I think about that guy all the time. That he won't even enter. He's like, why are you even asking? He's disgusted that Jerry is asking for a Gophers ticket.
He is like a rare example of a guy who everyone in the universe feels comfortable big dogging.
I'm going to open the dossier
and just being like, you fucking
you definitely suck. I'm going to open the dossier now. We can dig into the sort of genesis of this movie. But I do think the customer saying a fucking liar is the greatest like fuck in history. The way like he's so polite, he's such a good Minnesota guy. He's being screwed over so plainly that he's like, I think I can call this guy a fucking liar. And so, but it's hard getting it a fucking liar.
You see him decide to cut.
Exactly.
You know? It's great.
Before you open the dossier, can I throw out my big thought I had watching the movie last night? It's not a profound thought. It's a very trite thought.
Prowler needs a jump. What's your thought?
I think if anything, this movie is about the difference between being nice and being a good person.
Sure, absolutely. Of course. That's why that is why the setting is the setting.
Right. That's like the core tension of the movie. And that scene's a perfect example where that guy is just like, I have been wronged.
Right.
And I'm trying to decide if I say fuck right now, does that make me a bad person? And it's like, no, it's impolite, but it's justified.
Right.
Versus a bunch of people being very nice and polite and doing awful things.
So this film comes after the Hudsucker Proxy. Obviously, the Hudsucker Proxy was a bit of a failure for the Coens. I don't know your take on the Hudsucker Proxy, Zach. It's a great movie, in my opinion.
It's one of their only like 2 Coen Brothers movies that I don't necessarily fully connect with. And I want to love the Hudsucker Proxy. I've probably seen it 7 or 8 times. I always start it, and I'm so dazzled in the beginning, and I always kind of fall off the bike at some point in the middle of that movie.
What's the other 1 or 2 out of curiosity?
The other one is and I hate to do any sort of negative talk about any Coen Brothers movie, because their worst days is still really fascinating and worth study, but Lady Killers, I have a hard time connecting.
I don't think anyone's really gonna like wrinkle their nose at you saying the Lady Killers ain't the best.
No.
But read Hudsucker. It's like this movie was not a conscious reaction to that. They had already been writing it before they shot Hudsucker.
Mm-hmm.
The script was, as I think they're always just kind of like working on the next thing as their projects spool up.
But certainly post Hudsucker, it wasn't like other studios were saying, you nailed it. Here's another $40 million to make a big special effects driven comedy.
Right. Fargo is, according to the Coens, and I think this is basically true, like their most realistic script yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is contemporary-ish. It's like, it's slightly before.
Blood Simple?
Blood Simple is also contemporary, and it's also very simple. I mean, honestly, it's kind of their most Blood Simple-y script.
Yeah.
Since Blood Simple.
Yes.
And
it feels like them sort of going back to what they were trying to do in that movie with the knowledge they've gained over the
But they're
last
like,
10 years.
we want to use unembellished sets. We want to use real locations. And they did include this title card saying the film was based on a true story.
Mm-hmm.
They've sort of said a lot of things over the years.
Yeah.
Obviously, this movie's not based on a true story. Supposedly, somebody maybe died thinking it was based on a true story, which is the basis of the also not true movie Kumiko the Treasure Hunter.
Which is a great movie. And
very cool movie.
Just so conceptually smart. Have you ever seen that movie, Zach?
I haven't. I should.
It's
a good movie.
Fucking good. But it similarly is like starts with the title card of this is based on a true story, and then is a movie based on an urban legend about someone believing that Fargo was true
and
looking for the bag of money.
The Coens say they kind of heard tall tales essentially along those lines growing up in Minnesota of this kind of stuff.
Stories that are like little true crime newspaper clippings.
But I think the Paul Bunyan stuff is like this is a tall tale.
Yeah,
like a little
absolutely.
bit, right? Like it's a modern tall tale.
The stories that it seems to be riffing on feel very like, and I swear to God, this happened to my cousin's friend.
Right. But I think
things.
They know, and they do acknowledge it in one interview, that like saying a movie's based on a true story locks the audience in a weird sort of a way, where the audience is not going to be like, well, this is fanciful, or like that would never happen, because they're like, well, they said it was based on a true story. Like, so
I also think they post Miller's Crossing and Barton Fink are aware of the fact that eggheads are trying to overanalyze their movies.
You should do that in front of the Resident Evil movie you're doing, Zach. You should start with this is based on a true story.
Yeah.
Umbrella is real, and they're up to no good.
You should recut Barbarian to have that in. You should just make that like going forward. All movies have this is based on.
It's funny in Weapons. The first line of the movie is "This is a true story."
Hell yeah! There you go.
Yeah.
So there have been lots of.
But yes, I think no. It's because the other incident, there was some incident. The circumstances were very different, but of a guy hiring people to kidnap his wife to make the ransom money back.
Maybe.
All these things that were very loose inspirations. In a way that's sort of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre says it's based on a true story, and you're like, yeah, Ed Gein killed people. This is not really based.
It's sort of
anything.
A true crime movie.
Right.
They consider Blood Simple to be more like a James M. Cain type, noir thriller, right? Fargo, they wanted to be drier, less hard-boiled. But then obviously they are also, Blood Simple's a Texas movie. And this is about where they grew up. Of course, the movie is named after a city in North Dakota where almost none of the action happens.
It is only the encounter at the bar at the beginning of the film.
And they just like how Fargo sounds. And they're right. It's a great title for a movie.
Right. They were like, Brainerd's a bad title.
Right.
Yeah.
Working Title Films had sort of co-produced Hudsucker Proxy, a British production company, and which becomes one of their biggest collaborators, Eric Fellner.
Yeah.
They financed this film. I think it cost about $7 million. Like, it was not like a mega production or anything like that.
Look, their movies are not losing massive amounts of money up until Hudsucker, and as you pointed out, a couple of them made a little profit. But our buddy Alex Ross Perry was on Big Picture recently and was talking about this thing that's kind of disappeared from the American film industry, which is like Wes Anderson makes Bottle Rocket for like $5 million at Columbia, and it bombs, but it gets good reviews. And people are like, okay, you only get 15 to make your next movie at Disney.
Right.
This sense of like, if there's innate talent and there's a voice and actors want to work with this person, that people will keep kind of investing in you in the hopes that it will pay out at some point, which certainly like Circle Films had with them and Working Title had with them.
Many of the roles are written for the actors that play them. McDormand, Buscemi, Stormare. Had they worked with McDormand properly since Raising Arizona?
No.
I'm bad at this.
Right?
Is she in Miller's Crossing? I always forget. She certainly hasn't done like a major role for them basically since Blood Simple. Yeah, no, she hasn't at all. And
Buscemi's been in all of their movies.
In small
not
roles.
all of them, but a lot of them, yes. Stormare they wanted in Miller's Crossing.
Yes. They grew up in Minnesota. They're very familiar with Minnesota nice culture, which is obviously something that I think was introduced to me and a lot of people via the movie Fargo, which we're discussing today.
Right. I think my exposure point was probably the 1996 movie Fargo.
Now, Zach, you're not from the Midwest, right? Where are you from?
East Coast.
Yeah, right. So you too possibly exposed to Minnesota nice type vibes, Swedish friendliness, weird, all this through Fargo?
Fair to say.
Joel's quote about Marge being pregnant and wearing a puffy coat is like, he's like, the sponginess is part of it, like for Minnesota Nice. Everyone's bouncing off of people. They kind of like, we wanted her to kind of like talk funny and wear a funny hat and walk funny because she's pregnant, but not be a clown. Like, we wanted this kind of cliche cop, but she's a good cop. Like, she's good at her job and she's very competent despite being this like cartoon nice lady. Like the way she's like toddling around and then being like, like to this like grisly, miserable murder scene.
Right.
And like, it's not like they're like those Swedish dramas about murder that are so popular. They're always like, oh my God, murder in Sweden. This is so terrible. Like in a country where no one murders. They should sort of be saying that here. One would imagine they're like, we don't see a lot of like insane murders here in fucking Brainerd. Right. But they're never like that. They're more just kind of like, oh boy,
But that like speaks to this notion of a dark Marge thing where it's like, this isn't her first day on the job, even if this case, the fucking ice cup.
No, I'm just drinking some water. Sorry.
I would say
Relax.
the audio says different.
Yeah.
No, but you can tell that she has seen many murders.
Yes.
And this is just her job.
And part of her demeanor is to sort of like cope with it and cover it, you know, and not like, I mean, we've talked about other movies, like Manhunter is always the one I think about.
Sure.
Where that for me is a movie about a guy who's just like spent enough time in the darkness that he's actually never going to come out now.
Right. Manhunter, I mean, Will Graham is like, I'm so good at understanding murderers that my head hurts.
Right.
Like,
and I'm
all
past
the time.
the point of no return. Like, I no longer know how to talk to my wife.
The way McDormand puts it about Marge she says, there's something scary about Marge that's hard to articulate. She's simple and on the surface, but she's not naive. She's not innocent because she's good at her job, which gives her contact with crime and murder. But she has absolutely no understanding of why people do the terrible things they do. Possibly she represents this certain feeling, which I think Joel and Ethan felt growing up in Minnesota. But like she's sort of hinting at like, yeah, there's something kind of like inherently odd about this character.
That might be the core of Dark Marge, is this willful sort of lack of acknowledgement that Minnesota nice has. You know, when Marge is looking out the windshield at the end of the movie, she says, and it's a beautiful day. And it is not a beautiful day. No. It is like sleeting. You feel like you're in Mongolia, you know, and it's like the worst day of all. And so this just total, like, I'm just deciding to only see the positive. Everything is fine. And it's an interesting sort of dichotomy with her where she is unfazed by murder. And yet she is, you know, ignoring the darkness that is clearly all around her.
She is
Maybe
putting
that's the core of it.
Active work into trying to maintain some core belief in humanity.
But here's my so I've seen Fargo a million times, so I do not worry about Marge. Like, I know she's going to make it through the movie. And I probably always knew that because she does feel indestructible. But like when you're with Marge in this movie, I would say let's maybe put aside the Mike Yanagita scene. You're very comforted. Like them being in bed together is so comfortable.
It is one of the healthiest
You want to
marriages.
just crawl into that bed and just snuggle off with
100%
I've ever seen depicted in the
Gotta eat a breakfast. Is, you know, what her husband
I saw someone else call out, by the way,
them eating Arby's together, like, you know, all their, like, usually you're just like very happy to be in her presence.
Every scene they have together, they're either eating in bed or both.
Yes, right.
It is literally always some form of like comfort.
And like, I wonder about like watching this movie for the first time. Did people have the kind of like, Marge is she gonna be okay? Like she's like kind of moseying into this like awful thing. Like, but I'm trying to imagine ever feeling that she's in peril.
Because she's pregnant, we know this movie can't.
Yeah, it's like they're not going to do that. There is some sort of like fundamental like no, like she will.
They're not allowed to kill the pregnant woman.
Right.
It does bake innate sort of stakes into it. It does make your lizard brain sort of on guard. Like you feel more worried about her. Even though it's hard to think of a movie with a character being pregnant where you see the belly less in a way.
Sure.
Because as you said, she's so bundled.
Right.
You know, you're sort of aware of it, but they're not constantly like showing you her in maternity pants or whatever.
And they only verbally acknowledge it, I think, twice in the whole movie when she says, carrying quite a load here. And I think maybe at the end when they say 2 more months.
And
they say but that's about it. It's right. No one is ever like, are you okay?
Right.
Well, when Mike Yanagita hugs her too tight, she mentions it then.
Buscemi obviously is in a lot of their movies. In Miller's Crossing is literally hired because they need a motor mouth. They need someone who can read dialogue fast. So they write this for him thinking like you will be the person who doesn't shut up.
Yeah.
He's also, and Ethan says this, he's the audience.
Yeah.
Like 100%. He's the one who basically reacts to everyone with like, what the fuck is the matter with you? To Jerry, to Gaear, to Harvey Presnell when he meets him.
Right.
Like he is an outsider and kind of an alien and like the only non-Minnesota. I mean, Gaear is sort of like actually Swedish, I guess. Sure. But like he kind of counts.
Yeah.
Although Steve Buscemi, you do get the vibe that he is, if not from this neck of the woods, intimately familiar with these territories.
He knows where to get laid.
Where to go get laid.
He
exactly.
definitely knows where to get laid and how. Yeah.
William H. Macy is the only sort of star that was cast. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, where they are. He reads for the deputy detective for Carl. Carl, is that his name? I'm not sure. No, Lou. Sorry. Not sure I agree with you 100% on your police work there, Lou.
Mm-hmm.
They like the audition, And the Coens are like, that was funny. I mean, because William H. Macy at this point, I think is basically just kind of like...
He's like a Mammoth Theater guy.
He's a
and
theater
he's done
guy.
Some small
he's on ER in like a big recurring role. He's a Chicago sort of semi-legend or whatever, but he's not like a big movie actor. No. And at his audition, the Coens are like, you should read Jerry. Like, this was good. So they send him away and he comes back tomorrow. And he does his audition and they said, that's real good. Thanks. And then he finds out that they're auditioning in New York still. So, as he puts it, I got my jolly Lutheran ass on an airplane and walked in and said, I want to read again because I'm scared you're going to screw this up and hire someone else.
He has said, I want to get his quote here. He said, I actually said that, you can't play that card too often as an actor. Sometimes it just blows up in your face. But I said, guys, this is my role. I want this. I like his acknowledgement that most of the time people do those fucking gambits, it is like so beyond destructive and embarrassing to their careers.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But you hear about the rare examples.
People shouldn't tell those stories because it emboldens people probably to act crazy.
Right.
Right. They had written the part as like a sort of slovenly guy. And with Macy, they're like, no, it's like a tightly wound performance, essentially.
That's wild.
Vibe. Yes.
They had conceived of this as like a sloven, like
a kind of overweight, like loser. Yeah.
That is insane.
They also said,
who would have been right for that?
No one.
The True Coat scene where the guy calls him a fucking liar is an experience Ethan Coen had essentially word for word.
Yes.
Like buying a car in Minnesota.
Right.
And never forgot, clearly.
Yeah.
Harvey Presnell, who is so amazing in this movie and has a voice like a car engine.
You said this in our Jurassic Park episode, but that the magic of that movie is any senior watching, whoever's on screen at that moment, you think is the best performance in the movie.
Sure.
And Fargo's another one of those where every time I watch it, I'm like, who's my best supporting actor nominee?
He's so good.
And like some of the one scene performances, I'm like, well, it's this guy.
The thing with him is he is a sort of a Broadway legend and like a big singer.
Yeah.
And when you realize that about him, because then later in life, he was this kind of gravelly character actor.
I feel like this was his first movie in like 15 or 20 years.
I think it was a bit of a resurgence for him because then he's in Saving Private Ryan. He has an incredible monologue in Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
And he does, he
Andy
does like
Barker,
10.
PI, of course.
Yeah, he was funny on that.
He was very good on it.
But he does like 10 years of this.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. But I obviously mostly associate him with Fargo. But they had they wrote that character basically when they were raising money for Blood Simple. They met lots of like Texas businessmen, who
that makes sense.
Who were like sort of little petty kings. And this is what that character is, right? Like a guy who's like made a lot of money, but kind of in like his locality.
Yeah.
And so Jerry's like obviously the loser version of that. And this is and then John Carroll Lynch, the great John Carroll Lynch, they just loved his face.
Yeah.
He's so good.
So they talking about like the secret edge to Marge, the hidden edge. And McDormand, I just love this idea that McDormand felt comfortable enough to constantly push them to be like, what's going on under the surface here?
Sure.
Which other actors I think kind of wouldn't. She was like, what's our backstory? And they were like, I don't know, you guys figure it out.
Right.
And the thing they settled on was that they met on the force together. When they decided to get married, they were like, this is too dangerous for both of us. And he quit because she was a better cop.
But
so there's this
interesting about that backstory, though. That doesn't jive with Mike Yanagita.
Saying you married
that
son
they went
of a
to high
Gunderson.
school together.
Right.
Oh, you married old Norm, son of a Gunderson. Like Mike knew Norm back in the day. So
I guess maybe they didn't meet on the force, but that they were both cops. I mean, they also said the Coens were like, I don't know, whatever, if that makes you guys happier. But like the way they were playing internally was they both knew that she was the better cop. It would be absurd for her to retire, even if she's the one who's pregnant.
Deakins, Roger Deakins shoots this movie. Absolutely went insane.
Yeah.
Just incredible looking movie.
And yet, coming off of Hudsucker in particular, I was watching some of his commentary on this.
Yeah, the DVD has a Deakins commentary.
Yes.
If you want it.
And his podcast now that he does with his wife, Team Deacons, is so fucking good.
Yes.
This commentary was recorded like 25 years ago, and it feels like he's not super comfortable talking at length about stuff.
Sure.
Not that he's cagey, but it feels like he hasn't, whatever. But he did say, like, I read this script, and it was just so fucking good, and the characters were so good, and they cast such good actors, that I was like, I don't need to do anything fancy here. This location's interesting. And you just watch it with the commentary, and he keeps breaking down, like, yeah, this is another scene where it's 2 setups total.
Well, they initially told him, we only want fixed shots.
Yeah.
Like, you're doing nothing. And then they realized, like, that's maybe a little too puritanical.
But it is.
And they do move the
largely,
camera, and, like, you know, there's a little bit of stuff. But it's a pretty...
like, in every scene, I was like,
no coverage.
What's the simplest way to cover this? And the only things I care about are, like, capturing the performance and the performance relative to their environment. As you were saying, Zach, it's like such a location movie that, and it's a thing that I find so fascinating about them, and especially their work with Deakins, that they almost always, if not literally always, shoot inside of the conversation. You kind of never get over the shoulder stuff with the Coens. You're always placed in between the people talking.
Yeah.
And that part of it is, I think Deakins talks about, you know, he came out of documentaries first and foremost, and his school of thought for how meticulous he's able to, like, meticulously construct what feels like the perfect frame. He talks about it being a pretty organic process, that for him, it's like figuring out how to do it with the fewest number of lights possible, the fewest setups, like simplify it. And he's like, my guiding principle is just like, what is the best place for the camera to be to capture what the actor's doing? Because he's used to that from documentaries of, like, you might not get multiple setups. You just need to have the right relationship to the subject in that moment. And so everything is just kind of like drilled down to, like, you want to be right there as if the person is kind of talking to you in the center of the space.
Movie's entirely location, basically no sets at all. There's one bathroom set. That's it. And
that's got to be the storm air shower curtain.
Right. Where they're fucking things up. That makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, they famously, I feel like it's the most discussed thing about this movie, had no snow. They had like a weird mild winter, so they had to bring in a ton of artificial snow. And then they had to, like, go to North Dakota to like shoot big exterior stuff because, like, they had to go find snow, essentially.
Deacon said the opening credits shot is one of the last things they shot because they finally had given up and were like, we're not getting the snow we need. We have to travel out and we'll get that last. Yeah.
Guys, do you want to talk about Fargo?
Yeah.
Okay, great. What happens in Fargo?
So, yes, opens with true story cards.
Yes.
Then this negotiation between Macy and Stormare.
I'm not going to debate you, Jerry.
Sorry, that's such a big deal here. And I, David, I feel like you wanted to slide past it, but I have to put the brakes. 1987 is important.
Yep.
I think that's important.
Why do you think that's important? I don't disagree with you.
I think it's because it's about the end of the Reagan era. It's about the financial boom that is coming to an end here. And
but
it's you know,
like the rugged individualism of Harvey Presell, of the dad, right? Being like, this is my money. Like, I feel like it all feels very 80s, very Reagan. Like, he's like, I'm this self-made, like, macho man, right? And like, that's what Jerry wants to be.
Yeah.
Also, look, Reagan was not a Minnesota guy.
No, he sure wasn't.
Was not his kind of persona and the way he, like, built off of his Hollywood history.
And I will trumpet Minnesota is the only state that did not vote for Ronald Reagan in either election.
It's pretty nice.
Only state.
Pretty nice of them.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Isn't that crazy? Now, that's partly
insane.
because Walter Mondale was from Minnesota. So he did win his home state. It was the only state he won.
He swept 49 states.
Reagan won 49 states, and Walter Mondale won Minnesota and Washington, D.C.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Reagan won by 18 points. It was a big win.
That as well.
For old Ronnie.
Both times?
No, for the second time.
I just think it's interesting that this opening title card doesn't just say this is based on a true story. It gives the year, and then it says, if I remember correctly, you know, names have been changed to protect the innocent, and out of respect for the dead, the rest has been told exactly as it occurred. It's like that is
the bravado of stating that, of like, yeah, we barely wrote the thing. This is exactly what happened.
It's awesome, and it's more convincing. It's like they did it perfectly.
But it's also, I mean, it's where, like, I don't think this movie is even, like, incidentally based off of little snippets of news stories as much as it is based on the idea of reading something like this in the paper and being like, that's so bizarre.
Sure.
And
that's the magic of true crime.
If you saw it in a movie, you'd be like, this is overwritten versus telling you this is real. You're like, I guess weird shit happens.
Yeah.
You do hear this.
You must have seen that clip of William H. Macy describing the moment he learned it wasn't, and he's on set. Like, he was already in production.
Oh, yes. They didn't tell
in his
anyone.
Chair,
yeah.
And he found out it wasn't based on a true story, and he goes up to the Coens, he's like, you guys, this is not true? And they're like, no. He's like, you can't do that. And they're like, yeah, we can. And it's just like, flummox. He goes, okay. It's just like, there's nothing to be said, I guess.
Yeah. No one's going to like
it's just
find
wild
them.
that he would get so deep in the process and not know.
Well, also just be like, you didn't like research the real guy, but yet you feel betrayed by this.
Think about.
Yeah.
You didn't want to meet anyone who knew Jerry Lundegaard?
You found no like supporting material to like look into. No, I was just gonna say there's something in the like. I mean, it's the fucking the Phil Hartman Reagan sketch.
Sure.
But there's something in like Reagan's public persona that does feel a little adjacent to the like Minnesota Nice energy of this movie, where this guy like
phoniness, is that the word?
Yeah,
sure. Yeah,
yes.
like right.
Use
like
his sort of like old Hollywood folksy, like I'm just the Gipper kind of thing. And like, sold this sort of like, it's morning in America. How can you argue with this?
Right.
Don't we all want America to be like it was in the morning? But it's masking like a very kind of mercenary, strategic mind. Yeah.
And it just sets the stage for everything that comes after. It's like everything is now seen through a different lens. You know, you engage with the movie in a completely new way, and you indulge these little scenes of slower pacing because you believe this really happened. I just think it's you take that out. You know, you watch this movie without that title card, you have a completely different experience.
I think you're right. I think it does. Right. It just sort of locks the audience in.
It's another read on the Mike Yanagita scene I love. Yanagita, sorry, that I love is that it's in there because it's the kind of thing that would be included in a movie based on a true story.
We cut to her talking head, and she's like, and then I got lunch with my friend Mike Yanagita, and it was a little funny. It was
like no one would write that, but if it was part of the real story, I guess you'd need to figure out how to dramatize it.
So the first meeting in Fargo. Trying to think what to highlight apart from just like the clash between Buscemi's kind of like, I'm not going to debate Jerry, energy, and Jerry's aw shucksness. Yeah, you're scrolling through the movie here.
The one interesting thing about this interaction is it's the only window we get into Gaear at all beyond this guy's a stone cold psychopath. Because Gaear leans in and he says, "Oh, your fucking wife, you know." Like Gaear displays some sort of like moral judgment on Jerry for this scheme. He's like, "You want us to kidnap your own wife?" It's just fascinating because for the rest of the movie, he shows nothing.
Right. He otherwise seems like the single most scrupulous character. Because even Buscemi sort of goes like, why the fuck would you do this? You know, as much as I think he prides himself on being a guy who can override any sense of morality, Buscemi clearly has checks and balances in his head, and he feels fear from doing the wrong thing, even if he's like, it's worth it for money. Versus Gaear just kind of seems to be like...
Well, Gaear's like a psychopath.
He's a true psychopath, and he almost feels like a spiritual demonic force.
Right. But yeah, I guess Carl is a petty criminal, is basically what we're, right? Like that is his general...
But, like prides himself on, I can like do the unkind
But he's
thing
certainly not... They're not being
thing.
hired. No funny stuff. This is a no rough stuff type of deal.
Yeah.
But yes, the idea, of course, is that they're going to get $80,000 and split it.
Right.
We do not realize until way later in the movie, obviously, that the real scheme is that it's $1 million that the criminals will just get a tiny amount of. I feel like when you learn that, there's something so brazen about it that you're kind of like, God, that's so smart of Jerry. And you're also like, that's so stupid of Jerry. It's
so
way too much money. Like, it's crazy.
You know, what would have happened if, when his father-in-law was listening in on the call with Carl, if Carl had said, bring the $80,000.
Yeah.
His father-in-law would have known in that moment.
Right.
Jerry did all of this.
Right.
Why am I putting $1 million in this briefcase when the kidnappers are asking for 80?
And of course, there's so many tension points in this movie. If people would just kind of be like, yeah, fine. I'll pay you a little extra for the car,
right,
or whatever. That like, I mean, that's the magic of the Coens. Obviously,
but also to your point, you're like, does he get away with it if it's $1 million and they're doing a split?
There's no way they get away with it in any circumstance.
You're right. No, you're right.
Like,
you're
there's no way.
You're right.
There is no way that the wife gets returned.
Yes.
And they escape with the money, and everyone's like, "Oh well, that was weird, but who cares?"
But it is right. I mean, look, the core mistake.
And then Jerry's
the
like, "Oh, and I bought a parking lot, by the way."
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Let's say that they had killed Gene, and yet Jerry got the $1 million.
Right. Okay. So like everything proceeds the same way. It's just that Jerry escapes with the money. Or gets the money.
He gets the money, and he doesn't even have to flee. Like he gets the money. Right. They killed Gene. He never gets her back. The police are like, "We're so sorry your wife was murdered, but." He's $1 million richer.
Yeah.
Do you think Jerry considers that kind of a win?
Yeah.
I mean, is he also a psychopath? I think he is.
He is, or he's at least
the rest of his life with this terrible secret and not be so bothered by it.
He's a bad person, and I'm not out here to call to cast judgment. But the moment where Stan Grossman is like, "How's your son?" and he goes, "Oh, like," and you see it dawn on him, like, right, my son's probably pretty fucked up about this. Is so shattering because you're just like, so there's like a hint of like humanity left to Jerry. He doesn't love that this is happening.
That's why I don't think he's like,
Jerry doesn't want his wife to die. I don't think he likes her like that
but
much.
The fact that it has never occurred to him in the weeks and weeks of putting this together, like, oh, Scotty might be upset. It's not until that moment that somebody else brings it to his attention, I think reinforces that this dude would be fine if Gene died. He just doesn't care.
I think it's less that he's innately a sociopath and more that like his innate insecurity and his lack of confidence in how he is perceived relative to like masculinity in the world has completely curdled his brain. Like it now overrides every other decision he makes. It's all through the calculus of like, how do I impress people? How do I look like a guy that people have to treat with respect?
He's whatever. He obviously prioritizes his own security as well over his wife's life.
Right.
He wants to pay off his debts, I guess.
And I think there's a version of him that's like, if he owns a parking lot and people feel sympathy for him because his wife died and he can get away with it.
Yeah, that's a win.
That's an additional win.
Yeah.
I mean, let's say he never did this scheme. Let's say he was just on the up and up. He made some bad investments. He owes $750,000 or something like that. And he files bankruptcy.
Yeah.
His father-in-law would probably pressure Gene to divorce him, and he would be a divorced dad, and he'd live at the Jolly Roger, down the road. That to him is so unacceptable.
Yes.
That this is the action he takes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just fascinating.
I have no doubt that Gene's father would try to, even more than before, convince her to leave him. And yet, as much as we're saying that she doesn't seem to like really love him, they make a choice to not have her be some nagging rolling pin wife.
Yeah. I think she would stick with him.
I think she'd stick with him.
His father-in-law would have to bail him out financially, and it would just be this toxic, poisonous wedge in that relationship. But I think that is his ultimate fear.
That's his ultimate fear.
This man will hate me more than he does.
And the ultimate admitting of defeat of this guy owns me because the only reason I'm still in the picture is because he bailed me out.
Yeah.
I couldn't prove myself.
Right. How they ended up together is also a bit of a mystery. Like, how did Jerry ever charm anyone in a way? But she does seem like she's not like a total idiot, but she seems like a bit of a kind of like sweet, simple kind of gal, I guess.
I mean, she's laughing at the most vapid morning talk show. Like, she is not, TV. She's not reading a Russian novel on the couch,
right?
God bless. But I mean, and that's the sort of like the classic Coens thing where some people are like, are they being patronizing? Like, are they rude? Do they hate these characters or whatever? And I'm like, no, they love these characters. I feel like they even kind of love Jerry. Like Jerry's demise at the end of the movie, not to, where he's getting dragged, there's this like twinge of sympathy for the guy. You know what I mean? Where you're just like, God,
I totally disagree.
He's such a loser. Like he can't even go out like strong. You know what I mean? Like them like dragging him in his underwear. You're absolutely like, yeah, he deserves it.
Yes.
Like I'm not like you're like, poor Jerry. But you're just like, God, he's just always a fucking loser, isn't he?
But the fact that they make him do these guttural grunts like the grape stop lady, like,
it's so crazy. I mean, God bless Macy. He like goes for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I find fascinating?
I don't.
it has basically been confirmed, I think, at this point, that William H. Macy was the original voice of Marlin in Finding Nemo.
And he was like too much of a loser.
Yes. And they like test screened it with like story reels before they started animation. And it was like the audience hates this guy.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't know. I thought this like made sense with the sort of like William H. Macy worrying persona. And he was like, I got to get someone who's like comedian first and foremost and can like own this as a joke. But it makes sense because there's something so contemptible about him in this mode of like pathetic that even when it's funny, it does make your skin crawl.
And think about him in Boogie Nights. It's like when he puts the gun in his mouth, it's like we're all kind of like, oh man, what a loser, you know?
He really was on such a run of losers, right? Between this and the PTA movies.
I know, in Magnolia.
Oh my God.
He's the worst in Magnolia. Magnolia, he's amazing in it, obviously. But that is a character where like Jerry is tough, is a tough hang. He's a big loser. But fucking Quiz Kid Donnie Smith, you're just like, I can't look at this guy.
Original trivia team name, by the way.
That's true. Pilot circa CC Pirate came up with that name, but like you can't look at him. You're just like, this
with
is
him and Henry Gibson at the bar.
Tragic.
Is like one of the most skin crawling things I've ever seen. That's basically what Stanton said. Is like he was too good of an actor that you couldn't laugh at this guy being a neurotic fish dad. You're just like, oh my God, this guy's fucked up.
And it's funny to watch him in other movies where he's not a loser. You know, like I watched Jurassic Park 3 last week, and he's you know, he's not like a hero, but they've jettisoned all pathetic drip out of his character in that. And it's like, what are we doing with this guy? Like, what is happening here?
Okay, now I need to sidebar here for a second because David and I are both Jurassic Park 3 defenders, but you're making
I am too. I enjoyed the movie.
I like
very
it.
much.
You're making me realize something for the first time. Is that movie missing the spice of Macy going full Jerry Lundegaard?
Oh, there's a dash of it.
There's a dash, but if that character totally unravels and becomes that pathetic...
But then you need him to get eaten by dinosaurs. You would be like, dinosaurs, eat this man.
But I still think we're solving problems here.
But what's interesting, Pleasantville's in the middle of this run as well.
Which he's so good.
He's excellent in that movie, and he's also playing kind of a loser, but much more lovable character, very sympathetic character.
Yes.
He can give sympathetic performances.
Yeah.
He's amazing in Air Force One.
Wild Hog's one of the most sympathetic performances in history.
What does he do in
He's
Wild
good
Hogs?
At computers. He fucks Marissa Tomei.
Great.
Yeah.
While in Air Force One, it was you.
Yeah.
Have you seen Air Force One?
I have,
But like, it's
not one of my...
I've seen it like 400 times. He says it was you. It's incredible.
Well, also, let's remember his most emotionally rounded and resonant performance.
Seabiscuit?
Yeah. Guy with all the things that make noises.
He's got a little triangle.
Remember when they nominated him for a Golden Globe for that performance? Everyone's like, yeah, why not? Who gives a shit?
So, all right. So Jerry hires these guys, and then we're like, we don't meet Marge for half an hour, so we're just in this immediately unraveling situation, right? Like, how quickly do we get? I guess we go from that to sort of setup of like Jerry and his family.
I think the beginning,
what a dork Jerry is.
Right, and then it cuts back to the two of them in the car, and I feel like that's the immediate unraveling. Is these guys can't get along.
Right.
That Buscemi is
this
so
is not
unsettled
a team.
by his silence.
Yes.
That he keeps going like, it's fine. I cannot talk. Let's not talk all day. And then he won't stop talking about not talking.
It's so brilliant.
It's so good.
Total fucking silence.
Where's Pancake's house? I too would get sick of pancakes. I get sick of pancakes usually in the middle of a pancake order.
Yeah.
And the smoking with the windows up. I mean, that right there.
The move Stormare does.
Got bad manners. Yeah.
Where when in the murder, in the crime, I don't know how to describe it. The triple homicide scene, where he like rolls the window down. He just kind of like lets the cigarette out of his hand. I think about it all the time. It's so good.
He's kind of like rocking in this sort of like strange, kind of like autistic,
right. Him going into like full psycho mode.
It's beautiful.
Whew.
It's terrifying.
Yes, it is. He is so scary.
But even there's something so resonant in the like hard cut to the two of them fucking in parallel beds in a shitty motel and seemingly getting like no joy from it. There is not even this sort of like kink to look at us.
We're doing this together.
Right. It almost feels like they're annoyed that they just can't afford separate rooms.
Right. Would you do that? It is so crazy that they do that.
Never in a million years.
I guess we're basically, these guys have ostensibly kind of just met, right?
Yeah.
Is that the idea?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
But they don't know each other
really
well.
No, they were like basically set up on a blind crime
Is it
date.
kind of the hardened, these guys have probably both done time thing of like, I need to fuck someone. I've taken a shit in front of someone in a jail cell. Like, I don't care. Like, it's just kind of like, I'm just going to, let me ride.
Yeah.
Privacy has been beat out of them in years of
But they're getting
the
juice from
what's
it. Like,
so
there's no
crucial
spark to it. Yeah.
to the sex scene is the cut to them then watching TV.
Yes.
That just rocks.
Yes.
And the Tonight Show, it's just such a funny thing. Like, are they going to laugh once on this episode of the Tonight Show? You know?
Right.
It's so good.
The way that the Doughboys have turned pulling an autofocus into a term, I within a group of friends, pulling a Fargo is a joking
just
term we throw around a lot.
The old double bed hotel room.
Just kind of like dispassionately have parallel sex and then watch TV together.
It's great that we meet the girls after and they are just so like chill and silly. They're so funny.
I mean, it makes so much sense that they wrote this for Buscemi. But the repetition of just kind of funny looking.
It's just kind of funny. Just kind of generally
even
funny
more
looking.
funny looking than most.
How would you describe him? Because I would go on the teeth first. I'd be like, he's got kind of prominent teeth, but I guess that's kind of like a weird thing to say about someone.
But they're right.
I would start with the eyes. I'd be like, no, he's got kind of
got these like Stevie Buscemi eyes that
but this is why
can't shake.
This is why just kind of funny looking's the right thing, because you're like, you ask 10 different people and they each would start with a different thing about him.
Yeah. His lips are French in a way.
Right.
Yeah.
He's got so many different things that on any other person would be their only defining physical characteristic.
So true.
And you just combine it and you're just like, I don't know, he's just kind of funny looking.
Just kind of funny looking.
Yeah.
But yeah, what else happens?
Why are you pointing at me?
Because you had Fargo up.
Oh, yeah.
This movie is so perfectly constructed. I'm actually
okay. So it's them in the car. Then it goes to the first negotiation of the True Code.
Yeah, the True Code scene, right?
Which is right. I think just
liar.
The depths of how pathetic he is
early,
right? And then the real failure of that scene is when he admits that the True Code is already on it, even though they didn't ask for it.
Right.
So he's probably going to have to take the financial hit of not charging them for the thing that he thought he could talk them into. Like, there are all these little indignities that keep stacking up in his life.
And what I love about that scene is he makes this like totally phony, pouty, like I'm a bad boy kind of expression at the end. You know, when the guy's pulling his checkbook out and he's looking down, Jerry's looking down, and he's like, you know, mock guilty. It's really, but he knows this was always the plan. It's great.
Yeah. Right. Like everyone sees through him at all times.
They put that on at the factory.
He's
transparent. What you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's a big loser.
Yes.
And then it's the kidnapping.
You pretty quickly from there have the establishment of this previous scam he's running with the license plates.
Right. Where he's borrowing money on cars that don't exist, right? That's what he's doing.
Why wouldn't he just send in serial numbers of cars that are on the lot? I think I'm too dumb to understand.
I'm possibly too dumb too, but I mean, the reason is probably because like that is a crime and would be easily discovered, I guess.
Right.
I don't really know though.
I mean, it speaks to his confidence in something he does not have figured out, in that the best I can make sense of his plan is just he thinks he can stall them forever. Or get the cash.
I think it's more of I'll find the money somehow.
And then return the money back to them eventually when he's like, well, a year from now, I'll have $2 million. Right. And then I go, oh, sorry. But the plan...
because it seems like they've already fronted him the money, because the guy says, or I'll have to recall the loan.
They've given him the money.
Jerry says, I got the money. The money came through.
And the assumption I feel like is that money is gone.
Right.
Like you got the money and it went wherever it's all going.
Right.
Yeah.
That money went to pay off debts that are still not made whole.
Right. Even though it was 300.
What the fuck are the debts?
Yes.
Is he a gambler? Like what is it? I'm dying to know.
That's my question. Ben, do you have a take?
Yeah, I think he's such a bad car salesman that he has not been bringing in any money for his family.
Yeah,
because it's a commission-based
job.
He would be fired though.
No, well, but he's it's his father-in-law's dealership. So he's kind of getting away with being one of the worst car salesmen of all time. And I really do think he's just like trapped and he's bad at this job. And that is basically how he has been generating money for his family.
But I also think he keeps like metaphorically going all in at the poker table, right?
Yeah.
Like he's sort of like one smart move and I get myself like ahead.
Sure.
And it truly could be like this guy went to a casino one weekend and lost $10,000, and over 15 years it has spiraled to $2 million.
Right.
Like I think it's just that he keeps doubling down on.
I'll get the money back.
This is risky, but if it works, then
He does have some avenue of association with the criminal underworld. He knows Shep Proudfoot. I mean, I think there's a chance that he maybe rubbed elbows with some unsavory grifter guy who convinced him that he had this, you know, this get rich quick scheme, and it was not all the way on the up and up. And you know, Shep Proudfoot was probably adjacent.
Yeah.
Things went south, and now Shep is his lifeline to maybe a new scheme to get out of.
That is a really good take, because this is the exact kind of guy who gets scammed and never recovers from it.
Yeah,
like
he's
that
a rube.
Right. He's a rube, and that is a thing that would only emasculate him further, on top of then having the financial anxiety of how do I make myself whole again.
Because I just don't think that he could have been bad at his job to the point where he secretly owes over $500,000, you know, at his father-in-law's dealership. It's like, if you suck that much at selling cars, like that's going to work. That's on the books, you know?
Why? And I know the reason is I should stop nitpicking and who cares, but does he ever think about kidnapping the father-in-law?
Who's going to pay? Stan Grossman?
Maybe Grossman will do it.
Maybe
Grossman will free up the funds. But yeah, no, I don't know. It's just kind of like,
I was like, can you imagine like trying to kidnap Clint Eastwood? It's just like, it's not gonna
right.
It's not gonna work.
It's just so callous to obviously to be like, well, my final bargaining chip is I'm married to someone whose dad is rich, so I guess I can ransom her.
I just think it's so great that when this movie starts out, you're literally opening with him proposing, you know, or confirming the deal to kidnap her and get the ransom money. We're already so deep into this scam he's been running with the cars.
Right, which is great. I mean, this is exactly where we need to be. We need to be 7/8 of the way into his doom, and for him to be doing this.
And he's preparing to pitch the parking lot thing. This guy's got 3 things that we know of going on at the same time.
We're in Act 2 on page 1.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
That's great.
Yes. And just I'm sorry but like, because it's connected.
Right.
This scene, I find this scene where he's revealed essentially to be kind of right in meeting, you know, where they're like, this is a good deal. The financials of this do kind of make sense.
Right.
To be so satisfying to watch. I watch it a lot because it's the perfect Coens thing where like there's this little note of triumph for him where like this guy who clearly resents him for being such a loser and marrying his daughter is like, yeah, I mean, this is a fine deal. And he's like, great, so give me the money. And they're like, why would we do that? We're not a bank.
The most devastating moment in a certain way
is you're like, he doesn't have a chair. This. We just went to a fucking bank. Not that any bank would give him money because he's probably like up to his ears in debt.
But it's almost the most painful moment in the movie when they go, well, I hope if you're not interested in pursuing this deal, you're cool with us just doing it without you. Like, dude, you just lost your finder's fee.
I think they're going to give him the finder's fee. I do think maybe not. I don't know.
What
They're pretty ruthless.
In that scene is he has nowhere to sit. You know, he's like, he has to sit on the edge of a chair facing the other way. It's just like he is always at odds.
But he's like deep in one scam. He's setting up a crime and he's got a plan for like a legit business.
He does. He has a way out, but he could never get $1 million essentially to get out.
No, and by the way, like if he's smart, what he does is take the finder's fee from it and then go like, let me find more things like this. Let me build a relationship.
He's fucked. He's not that smart. I also think
if he's smart, that's what
I also think if he bought the parking lot, he would screw it up somehow.
He would, of course he would.
He wouldn't like do it right.
Yeah.
Oh, he's just destined.
Yeah,
he's just destined
he would
to be
mess
this
it up.
way.
Yes.
Absolutely.
He was always going to be face down in a bed with 2 cops and knees in his back.
Right.
Yes. In his boxers. Yes.
I want to say about the deal with the parking lot. He mentions if he makes it happen, that he wants to actually pull out on the ransom scheme.
Right.
Yeah, because he goes to Shep to try and cancel it.
He thinks he's going to be okay.
So he set it up in a way where he's like, my backup, even though his wife has already been kidnapped.
Right. Well, no, he doesn't know that yet.
Oh, okay.
But he goes home to her being kidnapped.
Right.
It is so stupid of him to engage these two guys before he takes his shot at the parking lot. Like, that should be the backup option he only goes to.
I think he's in a lot of trouble.
Desperate.
Yeah.
He's so desperate.
Well, parking lots kind of feature in this movie a lot. I feel like the best shot in the movie is him trudging to his car.
Yeah.
And it's like this lone car in the lot surrounded by snow or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then like the scene with Carl having to pay $4 for the long-term parking.
Right.
And then later Carl shooting the other parking guy. Like, parking actually pisses everyone off in this movie and does seem to be this kind of like inescapable money drain in Minneapolis.
But that's also the moment that is so iconic where he fucking loses it trying to scrape the ice off the windshield.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I'm having a flash
His
to that.
dumb
Just
fucking hat with the
parking
flaps.
lot, Larry.
Yeah.
Look at that parking lot.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. That's right.
Yeah. So then I think he goes home. Before we skip the scene where he goes home and his dad is having dinner with them, which is such a great moment where he goes, "Dad's joining us for supper," and she's like, "Yeah," and you can just see he's just like, "Fuck, another miserable night."
Yeah,
and the kid just wants to go to McDonald's. They aren't drinking milkshakes, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
What does he think they are doing? The kid does not seem like that bad a boy.
No.
Yeah, they're not smoking weed at McDonald's.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, like maybe they're like bumming one cigarette and like passing it around or something. I don't know what they're doing.
Not drinking milkshakes is so funny though. Yeah.
So yeah, what else? So then the kidnapping. Which, look, I can quote this movie. I'm sure you're like this, Zach, in that like it's like I can quote this movie visually.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I remember like scene like shot transitions and like, you know, just like framing and stuff from this movie. I've seen it so many times.
When
I'm not
Carl
as good at that.
walks up the porch, it is one of the greatest, terrifying and funny. Right. I mean, it is so them. It just works on every level. And he kind of presses his face to like peer through the glare at her, and she's just watching dumbly, like uncomprehending of what this person is doing. And it's not until the glass breaks that she realizes, like, danger, idiot, get up. You know, it's so good.
Yeah, just her knitting, watching the soap opera, starting to clock him, and taking her time to react.
Just kind of being like, it can't be what I think it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you guys notice that it's Bruce Campbell in the soap opera?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. And it is an actual soap opera that Bruce Campbell did that they licensed almost to mock him.
I was wondering, I was like, this feels so authentic. The way the audio sounds and like it just feels so real.
It was one of his earliest acting jobs that I think they did almost in the same way that Raimi likes to torture Bruce Campbell.
Now, Intolerable Cruelty has a soap opera thing too, right? But where they like made a fake soap opera. There's something with that.
Yes.
Right? Where there's something on TV. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's amazing in Fargo how many characters are watching television at all times or trying to watch television. It is a massive theme in this movie, which I think lends itself to the opening title cards. You know, I think there is something about our addiction to these stories and to this kind of being fed information through a screen that it has to be intentional.
Well, and this like escapism thing of these people who are living these very quiet, controlled lives and dream of
It's also so cold, and this movie is so cold,
right?
And anytime someone's outside, you're just like, go inside,
right?
And like, and the movie is communicating that to you, like it's hard to be outside.
Yeah.
And like you want to just be warm and you just want to be in Marge's bed watching like TV and talking about stamps. And like anytime anyone's outside, it just looks so miserable. And it
looks miserable in the cabin. They've got the oven open and you can see Jean's breath coming through the hood.
That cabin is tough.
Yeah.
That's not the nicest. White Bear Lake, Minnesota has a lot of lakes, right? Famously, 10,000 or so.
Mm-hmm.
So the kidnapping. Anything we want to say about the kidnapping apart from
for how controlled and perfect it is, their ability to stage incredibly clumsy things without it feeling like hyper precise, like slapstick comedy.
Mm-hmm. Like
part of what's upsetting about the kidnapping and also unnerving about it is that it feels like sort of so mundane and messy.
Right.
In all of their movements, but also like the shot sequencing and there being sort of weird amounts of space. They're not being weirdly a sense of urgency to it as much as there was an urgency in her trying to like escape it. And I think she thinks these guys are there to just fucking kill her. They're being so slow and deliberate in their moves.
Yep.
Yeah, Peter Stormare having no concern for anything. He pulls the mask off immediately when he gets bit. And his concern shifts from like this felony I'm in progress on to I need to get ointment on my bit.
I need
hand.
unguent.
Yeah. What the hell is unguent?
Unguent is just a name for like a greasy substance, essentially an ointment. Like it's so funny that he uses that word. It's a very old fashioned word. I don't know if the Coens just think it's funny or if it's supposed to speak to his kind of like, second language.
Yeah.
I need unguent. So she gets kidnapped. It's the cars, the chase, right? Or like, is there anything in between the kidnapping and the murder?
I mean,
the thing in between is what I just mentioned. The Jerry essentially losing the lot.
Right. But then also him coming home with the 2 bags of groceries and having this sort of processing, walking in.
Being like,
they've
happened.
Done it. It happened.
Yes.
And you don't.
And then rehearsing the phone call, which is so good.
So incredible. I think that's
fully, as speaking to you, sociopathic.
I think that was a Macy idea I saw.
Oh, really?
That he was like, this is a fun beat.
Right.
And yes, the moment where he's practicing it, you're like, this guy's gotten the performance pretty close.
Yeah.
And then the hard switch when he gets to the receptionist or the like.
It's great.
It's so
I also
good.
love the framing of that shot. We're not in the kitchen with him. We're like kind of in the hallway and we've got the banister in the foreground. And it's just like, it's voyeuristic. We're just watching. I don't know. I love that choice.
It's like the fucking Taxi Driver payphone scene.
Yeah.
Where you're like, you feel like you shouldn't be seeing this.
Get the camera away from
You're
this.
seeing something uncomfortable and embarrassing and too intimate. Yeah. And then that's one of the cuts to black, I think, fades to black, is after I'll hold. And then it goes to...
And then we go to the night driving, right?
Well, then it cuts right to Paul Bunyan at night and the night drive.
Yeah, amazing. And this is like the biggest set piece of the whole movie, arguably, you know. And it's so well done.
So we've gotten into this argument in the past about the Frances McDormand winning for lead, William H. Macy being nominated for supporting.
Sure.
The actual affront is the Macy being nominated for supporting.
That's not... McDormand is clearly the lead. It's just Macy is probably... I mean, I have him in lead. He's the lead. I can sort of hear an argument for like everyone else is kind of supporting, but he's in a lot of the movie.
I believe he has 30 seconds more screen time than she does. I always question the way that people fucking stopwatch these things.
Those stats are a little weird,
right? But they at least have basically equal screen time, if not slightly more, towards him. It obviously becomes her story. Yeah. And she's the one who's sort of driving the plot. But I also think one of the things that's so interesting with the Coens is that very few of their movies are really driven by one character. They're almost always plotted either thematically or by an event. Like the event is sort of the thing you're following, and then you're attaching yourself to different characters in the arc of...
Yeah, I can think of a lot of counter examples to that.
Lebowski's obviously character-driven. Like
Inside
one
Llewyn
guy.
Davis.
Llewyn Davis's True Grit,
Serious
I would say,
Man.
is with Maddie. Serious Man is.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of their crime movies, I guess, in particular.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But what's your point about Macy? Like that he should have been nominated in lead. Where'd they
No, it's just interesting that we're
the cynical calculation of like
it's a
he's
cynical
more likely
calculation.
He's not famous.
supporting. Let's do it.
It was more that I'm just clocking we're getting to the final shootout, which means or what you described as the big set
indie
piece.
spirits put him in lead.
Right.
Basically no one else, even the Globes didn't nominate him.
And SAG put him in supporting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think his nomination was like a mild and welcome surprise at the Oscars, because he was not a very well-known actor at that point. But obviously he's so good in the film. But it does cost Buscemi his maybe like most obvious chance at an Oscar nod before Ghost World, which he's also
stumped for. I just think he remains one of the most egregious, like never
Take
nominated
it up with the Academy
guys. I write them a letter every day.
Okay.
And they tell me to stop. But yeah, no, it's just fascinating to think about how deeply we've gotten to the movie and that you're like at the big set piece
Yeah.
And she has still not been introduced.
True.
That it is like 30 minutes on the dot after the big blow up. This scene of like, once again, like clumsiness, like Buscemi trying to pull the move of flashing the money in the wallet.
So stupid. So unnecessary.
Stupid.
It took me so long to clock that that's what's happening.
Yes.
And then the way the cop like flips the wallet shut. But yeah, I mean, but I think Buscemi just thinks that's the only way. But Buscemi's stupid. The stupidest thing he does, we don't see, which is that he brags to the guy in the bar that he killed people.
Right.
And like the way the guy describes what he was doing, like you're like, I can exactly picture Carl like popping off and essentially being like, well, there's a trail of dead people behind me that you don't want to fuck with me.
But a stupid calculation he makes is the moment where the cop says, "What's this?" If Buscemi is savvy in any way, he goes, "Oh, sorry." Right. Like he acts like it was truly an accident rather than like he quadruples down. He keeps repeating, "What if we just settle it here in Brainerd?"
Yeah.
And the guy is just not having it at all. And he's making it worse and worse.
Right.
I
think there's no way out of it. They have a woman in the back seat.
Yes.
Like if she was in the trunk,
right?
Do they get away with it? Do they basically apologize?
Plus, I mean,
to the
he
cop?
was still going to get in trouble because he's still going to try and bribe the stupid fucking cop, and that cop was obviously not going to have it, and someone was going to get shot no matter what, whether she's in the trunk or in the back seat.
This is what we keep circling back to. There are so many unforced errors in this movie, and yet the characters are making errors on top of each other, where even if you're like, well, if they had just done this one thing differently, that's not accounting for the 5 things they did around it.
Yeah. I mean, if he just put the tags on the car, everything would have been different.
Yes.
You know, and that's the first thing he should have done.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
He should put the tags on the car. So they kill the cop. The thing I think about the most is the little spurt of blood. It's so good.
Awesome.
Onto Buscemi's face.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just the little like pathetic fountain.
Yeah.
Like it's more than nothing, but it's not like an insane geyser. It's just this like, I just think about it all the time.
Well, I also always think about the way the cop falls out of frame.
Yeah, the way you see him for 1 second, his head covered in blood, but like literally 1 second. Yes.
Yeah, he falls back on his knees away from the camera. It's sickening.
We talk about in the Blood Simple episode, but they said so much of their like genesis of that movie is feeling like deaths in movies are always too clean. Like even when they're bloody and messy, they're bloody and messy in this sort of like operatic way. And they're like, death is like really clumsy and it like takes longer. And you just have these sort of like odd embarrassments.
Right.
Yeah. But yes, how quickly they just get themselves into like a perfect knot of, well, now there's a dead cop. Now there's a guy driving by. There's an eyewitness.
Right.
There's like no way out of this without just
more murder and insanity.
They're kind of doing what William H. Macy's doing. They just keep digging deeper and deeper and deeper into trouble and compounding.
And essentially a sort of like we'll figure it out mentality. But yeah, the people see them. The shot of the guy's face, like, you know, is so good.
He looks like Louis Anderson. I always think about Louis.
Does kind of look like Louis Anderson. He's got a big orange coat on or something. He's got like a bright coat on.
Yes.
It's just, I mean, just imagine being in the theater in 96 and like the shot and the cut to black.
Yeah.
And just that like wave of like laughter and craziness that must have gone through the audience. So like, what the fuck just happened?
I feel like we talked about this and David and I being a little younger than you, Zach, that like for both of us, we think our first exposure to the Coens was watching Billy Crystal edit himself into the Oscar montage this year. Into Fargo and like sitting in a room of grown-ups laughing at it and both being like, what is this movie? It's got like broad comedy tone and it's about murder. And I have a very similar memory of this movie playing in theaters in New York for so long and constantly walking by when my parents would walk me to school, a theater that had the poster up and being so confused by the needlepoint poster. And being like, what is this movie that has this sort of like cutesy depiction?
What he did was
crime.
He's the other cop.
He's Lou, right?
He's Lou.
Yeah. Talking to in that first scene in the morning sickness.
And then he's talking to Buscemi in the car.
Okay.
they're like talking to each other. Yeah.
He's playing pretty fast and loose with the narrative there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's back to him talking to Jerry Maguire, and there's some great stuff here.
All of that to say, like, our exposure to it was first the pre-digested version of, like, we all know how funny Fargo is, versus I wish I could have had the purity of being able to see this in theaters, like, opening weekend and being like, what the fuck is this? No one has ever done something like this before.
Well, it's a good movie. What happens after?
No, I basically, the body lying in the snow goes to...
we go to Marge.
We go to Marge.
Right.
We go to her getting the call in bed. The camera...
Prowler needs a jump.
Yes.
Prowler needs a jump.
Yeah.
But the ducks, the painting, supplies... the camera tracking over to them in bed and her being woken up by the
most
crime.
Incredible introduction to a character. First this, but
breakfast.
then the breakfast. Gotta have
breakfast
a breakfast.
is important. I gotta go.
Him being like gotta have a breakfast is another acknowledgement of her pregnancy.
Yeah,
like I don't think he's just hitting that so hard because he's her loving husband. He's like, no, you need to eat. Like you're pregnant.
But he knows if he said it that way, she would push back on the idea that she's vulnerable.
So, but then and then just, I'm not sure I 100% agree with you on your police work there, Lou, where you're like, he's such an idiot, but she would never chew him out. She's being so nice about it. Just her whole approach, her whole matter of factness about the homicide, this execution style deal, like the way she's talking about this horrible thing we just witnessed.
That's what her sense of
this,
politeness does not override her doing the correct or responsible thing, right? Mm-hmm. She's not going to defer to this guy out of being polite. She finds the most polite way to push back and explain her own theory. I also just love the sort of just get breakfast out of the way vibes, but also them having breakfast in pitch black darkness. That feeling of when you are awake too early doing a thing.
Yeah.
Right.
As if you're eating before a red-eye flight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also like that, she gets there, she hasn't seen the dead trooper.
Right.
She just sees the two bodies there by the upside down car, and she's good. She already can put together exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And she's right. We got a shooting over there, and then we got a drive by, and they come here, we get the execution type deal. Yeah, she's great.
But then she has the little, and looks like a perfectly nice guy, right? She has the little aside where she's she's acknowledging that this is a tragic situation.
Yeah.
She's not blasé exactly. She's just even-handed or whatever. She's just kind of
she doesn't put the pieces
even-tempered.
Together, but it's what she's getting at with her last lines of the movie, which is just what could possibly
have been worth all this.
Right.
Yeah. And this is, in a way, they should be, this is a cop killing. This is crazy.
It's crazy. Yes.
Yeah, and it's odd that she didn't have a relationship with the dead cop. That is never acknowledged. This is a tiny town. This is a small police community. An officer is gunned down in cold blood, and they don't spend any time talking about that.
Although I guess it's basically he's from a neighboring precinct and got shot down in the sort of liminal space between the two cities.
I can't remember. They might explain it. But he wrote DLR, and that means dealer plates. And I guess she finds the call girls first, right? The first thing they find where she's like, oh, that's a good lead is that two guys checked into a motel with call girls
in a Ciera,
in a burnt umber Ciera.
Yeah.
A Ciera is an Oldsmobile. I had to check. I didn't actually know what it was. They say Ciera so many times.
Mm-hmm. It was my first car.
Your first car was a Ciera?
It was a Cutlass Ciera Oldsmobile. It was a hand-me-down from my grandpa.
Burnt umber?
It was not umber. It was a dark blue.
How are the tags
blue
on
interior? How are the tags?
Yeah.
Regular license plate.
Okay, good. Thank God.
Well, then that's the answer, Ben. Yeah. Jesus. Okay.
How'd it drive?
It was a fantastic car.
Okay.
I loved it, and unfortunately got into an accident and it got totaled.
Oh, that is too bad.
It drove great. It was a V6. It had some power to it, and it just was so purposely designed for an old man in this really lovely way. It had lights built into the rear view mirror so you could look at your map.
Oh, very nice.
Or it was also helpful for rolling a blunt.
There we go.
In the car at night.
That Ciera saw some blunts.
Yes, it did.
She interviews the ladies.
Well, no, before that,
ladies.
you cut to Jerry meeting with the father-in-law and
Stan Grossman loves
strategizing the ransom payoff.
Stan Grossman's a great character.
So good.
Yeah.
That guy's clearly a smart guy.
Yeah, the smartest guy in the movie.
Right.
In a way, that's exactly who Jerry wants to be. Right? Like, even more than he wants to be hard pressed now, like, that's the guy he aspires to be, who's just, like, solid as a rock, responsible, has the respect of other men. He doesn't need to be like the king of shit mountain.
No.
But that's when they bring up like how's Scotty doing?
Right. And he's like, right, Scotty. Yeah, I'll talk to him.
And I think
the scene where he tries to talk to him is so miserable.
I think he's doing a fairly good job of keeping a brave face on it. And yet every single thing that Scotty's bringing up is clearly something that he hasn't considered until this moment. Where like Scotty's first question is, what do you think they're doing with her right now?
Oh, God.
And his response is, nothing. These guys, they just want money, right? Which is him like knowing these guys are just waiting to be paid off.
Right.
But yet, the more Scotty digs into it, the more he's like, you don't know these fucking guys. Right. They could be doing anything to her.
But I don't get the sense that is really occurring to him. He doesn't seem to be that alarmed. He's more alarmed that Scotty could let things slip to his wife's friends. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's true. He actually is trying to maintain OPSEC.
He also thinks that like Scotty is worrying over nothing. I think he believes what he's saying, which is stupid.
Jerry's right. Jerry always thinks he's in control of every situation that he's clearly lost total control.
He's like, these three people are going to sit in a room together watching TV until they get the check and they'll bring her back safely.
The only time he ever says anything is in the first scene where he says, I'm in a bit of trouble, right? And then he won't go into it. But like those calls where the guy's on the phone being like, well, if you don't send me these numbers, he's just like, real sure. Yeah. I'll fax it over to you. Like, obviously you can tell he's stressed out. He never says like, God, what the fuck am I going to do?
My favorite moment is when he goes like, I sent them in the mail. They should be arriving. And the guy goes, that may be so, but I'm letting you know.
I'm out of patience.
If I don't receive them by tomorrow, I'm filing charges. Like, even if they're in transit and they'll arrive 2 days later, your luck has run out. Your time has run out. And his response to it is still so contained.
Yeah, he's just like, sure.
That is a moment where you'd expect them to give him another sort of like ice scraper meltdown.
Well, do a damn lot count. That's him melting down.
No, but he does melt down after that, Griffin, because then we cut to that wide shot through the window and he grabs his keyboard and slams it on the desk.
Yes, he does.
You're right. He does.
You're right. But he stays calm on the phone.
Yeah. Yes.
Right. He's still trying to confidence his way through it. Yeah. Right. So then, it's Norm comes to bring her lunch.
You know, there was a scene that they filmed that they didn't put in the movie of Norm ice fishing. And they cut it out. Or so I have been told. I don't know if that's true or not, but I don't know why they would shoot it. I think it probably makes sense that we don't.
They do say like, I thought you were going up ice fishing at Mill Lake or whatever. Like, and obviously he needs his night crawlers,
right?
And that Norm is like the salt of the fucking earth, And everyone does seem to respect the hell out of this guy. And then like the touch that he paints, is just like the perfect final touch to this character of like, he's got a sensitive like artist side.
You know what I love too? When they're talking about, I forget the name, but the competition of the other person who's in the running for the stamp.
Yeah. I forget his name.
They don't shit talk them. And even Marge is like, well,
he's good. Yeah.
He's talented, but you're more talented.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you're better than them. They're good, but you're better than them.
You're right. It's the circle back to they're good, but you're better. She doesn't want to put the other person down. She just believes in him so deeply. Yeah. And this notion that it's like he comes and eats lunch with her every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the office.
He knows every in the building.
Yeah.
Right? Which does sort of speak to maybe he used to work there. I don't know.
Sure.
Again, doesnn really matter.
He's
all
such
of
a
their
welcome
scenes
presence.
are just welcome seasoning for her character as well, obviously.
And that's when Luke comes in with the lead of the two women.
Right. Yeah. And she talks to the ladies and they're so funny.
One of the two who has
wasn't
no other
circumcised.
Yes, I think it's that one who has no other screen credits.
Sure.
Was basically a dialect coach on this movie.
Right, that makes sense. Like
the one on the left, it's got to be the one on the left.
Yes, I think was like a local theater actress, but she was the one. I don't know if they hired her to do this first and then cast her in the role or vice versa, but she said, like, in particular, McDormand credits her.
Larissa
Yeah.
Cockernot.
With cracking the
incredible
voice.
name.
Yes.
And Melissa Peterman, who is the other one, is like has been in a zillion things.
Mm-hmm.
She was on Young Sheldon for a zillion years.
Hey, nice work if you can get it.
She's a main cast member.
Yeah.
Oh no, she's recurring. I take it back.
Well, huge
it's an interesting
difference.
thing. These two, who are I presume sex workers, because
yes.
Yeah,
at least
right?
part-time.
That's a safe assumption. But they have a completely different attitude. These women seem untraumatized and like this all in all seems like a good experience.
Yeah, they don't seem to think they're like
Carl.
in trouble for like, patronizing these men or anything like that.
Yeah.
The third woman is unquestionably a sex worker.
And she is
I hear
definitely like
bells.
does not love this. Where he's like, you find this line of work interesting? And she's like, the fuck you talking about?
Right. She's
like,
over the job.
Yeah.
Every other time I watch this, I oscillate back and forth and thinking, are these two women sex workers or not?
I think they are, because he knows a place they can get laid or whatever. They're kind of like they're girls who
That's
at
my thing.
least are like, whatever. The bartender knows some gals that
And
might be
they're
interested.
so blasé about everything.
Right.
There is like a lack of like, it's not just that they're not worn down by the thing in the way that the third woman is, but they also just don't kind of seem canny about anything. Like they just feel like they just go out and they do what they want to do.
I love when the one is like, "Go Bears!"
Right,
She's
yeah.
talking about her high school.
Go Bears.
Yeah.
She rocks.
Yeah.
We
We also see them arrive at the lake house and Jeannie running around with the hood over her head.
Yes.
And
Hands
them
tied
laughing.
behind her back.
Yeah, this is the scene where Carl, it really does show his hand that he is also a psychopath.
Right.
Gaear's not laughing. Carl thinks this is the funniest shit in the world. I mean, that is just actual cruelty that he's
Yes.
displaying.
Yeah. Here's the thing I think the Coens are about.
I think Gaear doesn't find anything funny.
No.
Like his brain is like kind of like there's just
has
like
no
he's a
personality.
lizard.
right. There's nothing.
Right.
There's nothing reading in there. That's why Carl cannot make conversation with him.
Right.
Like he is capable of having sex.
Yeah.
So he sort of like has some like animalistic function.
He also doesn't seem to enjoy it even as much as
Not
Buscemi
really.
does.
He's
But
like
this
dead.
is why it's so interesting when he cares. He seems offended that Jerry wants to kidnap his own wife. It's just, that's interesting.
Well, I want to circle back to this because I'm thinking about you calling that out, and I'm like, is he offended as much as he's just kind of intrigued by that being an interesting human behavior?
No, he clearly disapproves.
There's a value judgment on it, but I'm also like, the only thing that activates him is like what he is perceiving as a level of cruelty that he seems unfamiliar with, if that makes sense. Like, this guy is desensitized to violence, and yet this sort of alarms him as just like, that's fucked up.
He's like, what is the world coming to?
Right. Everything else he's like numb to, and that's sort of just like he cannot ignore.
Right.
This is like his Tommy Lee Jones in No Country sort of like conundrum where he's like,
Right.
I don't even know if I belong in this world.
I think it's also like one of the things that the Coen brothers are as good at as anyone else is in almost every scene, every character is ostensibly sort of focused primarily on something other than their main like textual objective in the scene, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like, I think they're really smart about like constructing environments for really interesting behavioral performances.
Right.
Where even when Lou comes in with the lead, Marge is clearly like, on her game.
Yeah.
Seizing the opportunity, but also her priority is, I got to finish this lunch.
Yeah, I'm eating these French fries.
She needs her Arby's.
Right. And
Yeah.
the same with like them watching TV while Jerry's wife is running around. John Carroll Lynch in some interview said that the only direction he really remembers the Coens giving him was in one of the scenes. Maybe it's this one.
Mm-hmm.
He was paying too much attention to what Lou and Marge were saying.
Uh-huh.
And Joel came up to him and said, like, you don't care.
Mm.
Just finish your meal.
Right.
I love that.
You're not ignoring this, but like this doesn't matter to you.
Right.
Yeah. The guy's shoveling his front driveway when the cop's interviewing him about the interaction at the bar with Carl. You know, it's like that's his focus right now.
That is a perfect example to me of a scene where when I am watching it, I'm like, this guy is the best guy in the movie. For these 3 minutes, he's
unbelievable.
Transfixing.
And of course, the most important thing in that movie is these guys who are wearing fucking spacesuits.
Yes.
Being like, it's getting colder. Like it's going to be colder tomorrow. They had the weather combo with like, oh yeah, there's a front coming in. I'm like, guys, it looks like it's minus 40 degrees.
You never get a clear look at his face. He looks like fucking Kenny McCormick. He is so naturalistic that it almost feels like they like hidden cameraed an actual citizen. This guy I dug in a little bit is like a Minnesota theater legend who started like the most reputable theater company.
Oh, nice.
But I think his only one other film credit, but I think was sort of the activation point for a lot of the local actors they hired in the film, and just kills this one scene.
He kills it.
Yeah.
So I called it in. Like that, like his story, it's like he's giving this like valuable, like he's like a witness.
Most important,
it's really important
piece of information.
But I love that
the whole case,
and he gets through it. And he's like,
so I called him. The guy's like, yeah, well, it's probably nothing anyway. I guess it'll be cold here soon in this fucking frozen hole.
It's almost presented as boring, kind of.
Yeah,
like a boring story.
But like when the two women at the bar won't stop harping on how funny looking Buscemi was.
Yeah.
It's like, well, but they also had like a very intimate experience.
But this guy's also like, yeah, he's just kind of fucking funny. I mean, what they're trying to say is like, he looks like a little weasel.
Right.
Like, what do you want from me?
How do you define this guy other than that he is unusual?
Yes.
If he walked into a room, you would immediately
And I want to be clear.
I looks
think Steve
unlike anyone
Buscemi's
else.
hot.
Yes.
He has been styled to look like a weasel. It's just that you can get that guy to, to a weasel faster than some actors.
Buscemi, I cite a lot as one of the prime examples of like people who are cast to be ugly in movies. If you see them in person, you're like, they are so
striking and good looking guy.
Because anyone who registers on camera is like innately kind of captivating looking, even if they're unconventional.
But if you see him in what's that movie he made when he was really young? That's
Trees Lounge.
Well, he's amazing in Trees Lounge, but he's obviously playing kind of a rough customer in Trees. That guy's had a couple drinks over the years. I don't know if you noticed that about him.
But like New York Stories, New
York Stories is an example, but what's it? In the Soup, the movie with Seymour Cassel.
Yeah.
Great little movie. Like he's so cute in that movie.
Yes.
Like he's adorable.
Yes. But it's right. What they're really speaking to more than anything is like, look, he doesn't look like anyone else. He is unique.
Right.
And also this guy's energy is just weird. It's what you said. He's just like, there's something unsettling and weaselly about this guy.
Yes. Ben, you keep coming in and out of the Zoom, and it always jump scares me. It's so funny. No one's watching the Zoom, obviously. So it's just me that cares about this. So we're going to cut that out of the podcast because who cares?
Then keep it and double it.
It's just me that cares about this. So we're going to cut that out of the podcast because who cares?
Also, if you could edit in a little bit of ice clinking, it feels like it's been a while. Maybe it's another good moment to place it in.
No, thankfully it's melted.
After this is Mike Yanagita.
But we have it on the soundboard.
Do we have more on Mike Yanagita?
Yeah, I got an hour to do it.
Well, we're not going to do an hour. But do we have more on Mike Yanagita that we want to explore?
Steve Park at this point in time was most known for Do the Right Thing and In Living Color.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. He's great in Do the Right Thing.
Yes. He talks about after this, he did a guest arc on Friends, experienced an incident of like absurd racism behind the scenes, wrote an op-ed letter about it that I think was published in the LA Times in 1997.
Sure.
And says that he was like soft blackballed from the industry for a number of years. And you look and like the credits dry up for a while.
Yeah.
Which is absurd because you watch this and you're like, this guy should have become the single most in-demand character actor for the next 10 years.
So funny.
And
he's
instead,
so good.
He's kind of on ice, and it takes until the mid-2010s that people start being like, why does no one fucking hire that guy? Like, it's part of the persistence of Fargo is I think when people rewatch it, they're just like, no one's using this dude? And obviously the Coens use him again really well in Serious Man.
They do, yes.
Right. And then the final segment of French.
I'm embarrassed to say that I am just now putting together that's him.
That's him.
Serious Man.
He's the dad of the student. Yes.
I did not realize that.
And also
we were making like a weird joke when you said when you quoted that line from Serious Man, but yeah, okay. Gotcha.
He's like the secret sauce of the final segment of French Dispatch too.
Your favorite movie?
A movie I like a tremendous amount, but he's like transcendently good in it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's weird to me that he didn't realize that he was funny in that scene, and that when Ethan told him that scene slayed, he was like, "But it's so sad."
I
like,
think he's in that character, right? He's like, I'm playing this like truly sad guy who's. Well, I guess the question is, does Steven
he's explosively crying, saying, "You're such a super lady." Like, that's funny, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not with you on that. You're such a super lady. Like,
I guess
my question is, does Stephen Park know he's lying? I guess he probably was told, like, this is not true.
That's a great question.
I don't actually know.
I think he's trying.
Does it affect your performance?
To play the guy with a level of psychological realism, even though it's in a weird tone and the language is obviously so specific, and there's no way to say that without sounding a little goofy. Right. I think he's trying to avoid being condescending to the character.
Yeah, he's great. I mean, he does a great job.
In his mind, he's like, I'm not trying to make this scene funny.
Yeah.
But of course, the sadder he plays it, the funnier it gets. Yeah. Like, it is that you always talk about the fucking interview you had with Christoph Waltz promoting Big Eyes, where you were like, so you play a bad guy in this movie.
And he's like, I might disagree with you on that point. And I was like, Jesus, I have 20 minutes with you. We're going to fight about whether your fucking villain character's bad.
And you had this contentious standoff, but you're like,
no, the problem was that 10 minutes in, he was like, yeah, you're probably right. And I was like, well, then why'd you fight me on it, Waltz? He was like a cat playing with a mouse.
Yeah.
I was just this tired little guy, you know, with a low little notepad, and he was clearly just like, I'm gonna fuck with this guy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I just think, right, like, he is a guy who is innately funny.
Stephen Park.
Right.
Yeah,
and like
sure.
has a comedy background and knows how to be funny.
Yeah,
and they probably cast him for that reason, where they're like, if this guy plays it straight, it will still be funny, versus hiring a dramatic actor who might just make it uncomfortable.
It's a scene I sometimes struggle to watch.
Yeah.
It is so uncomfortable.
Yes.
It is sad. The way she reacts to, not before he's crying, to him moving next to her.
That is the roughest moment in the scene for me. It's like, it gets so much worse, and then it gets even worse in retrospect when you find out he was lying, and yet the absolute pit of despair.
The flimsiness of him being like, how about I sit next to you, and her being like, oh, I wouldn't, I then have to turn to look at you.
Just immediately a bad move. She's going out of her way to try to find the most polite reasoning for why she's putting a wall down.
The thing too that would, like, with finding out later, it's so insane that he is dressed up and wore a suit.
Yeah,
There's something about that to me that stuck out on
but
this.
She's dressed up too. Like, they are. I feel like they are kind of like, well,
the Radisson.
You want to dress up for the Radisson?
I guess it's the Radisson. Yeah,
but he is living with his mom, so it's like tough to imagine him like at home,
like
with his
putting
mom,
on a suit.
putting on the suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes it so much more sad.
How
me.
old is Marge? Is she like 32? Like, how old is she? Like, she's not that old.
36 is what the number that I
like.
How
old was
in my
Frances
head, but I don't know. That might be too old. Well, you know what's really interesting though is in the phone call with her friend, where she's recounting the encounter with Mike. Her friend describes that he was really pestering her, meaning the woman that Mike said was his wife.
Yes.
And it's like, that is back in 1987, they didn't call it what
right.
it was.
He was being fucked up.
He was stalking her.
Right.
And they use their Minnesota nice, really bothering her, really pestering her. And it's like, dude, what we're seeing is the first step of Mike stalking Marge.
Possibly getting kind of obsessed with her.
And the fact that he's undeterred by the fact that he knows she's married to a guy he also knows
she's
and is
pregnant. 7 months pregnant.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like, it is the hyperfixation.
Why
there's a whole nother movie here. I mean, there's a whole fascinating movie. With
He
Mike
calls her
Yanagita
because she was on TV, right? Like, he calls her because he saw her on television.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Which is also so great. Well, how the heck are ya? It's like such an insanely obnoxious question to ask at 10:45 at night.
Yes, and also when you're in the middle of like fucking investigating a triple homicide.
Sure.
So 96, Frances McDormand was 39.
Right.
Okay.
So when she made the movie, she's about 38 or whatever. Yeah. I mean, that tracks. She's in her late 30s.
Right. About 20 years since they've all graduated.
Right. But yes, it's not that meeting Mike makes her kind of reevaluate that first interview she did with Jerry. It's hearing on the phone that he, lied to her. That does seem to spur her to go back to Jerry and kind of press him a little harder.
And I think
Jerry's a bad liar. Mike's a better liar than Jerry.
Jerry is the worst
convincing.
liar.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's also interesting. She does go back and say, how do you know? But she doesn't seem to clock that he's a liar until he just completely disintegrates in that scene.
He disintegrates under very little pressure.
She wasn't like, I think this guy lied to me. You know what I mean?
Yes, she's initially basically just like, well, maybe the car went missing and you didn't clock it, essentially.
So after the Mike scene on this watch, I went back, rewound, and rewatched the first Jerry Marge scene. Because I was like, I now want to see what she wasn't picking up on with him. And I think it's less that Mike makes her realize he could have been lying, and more that Mike kind of reminds her that everyone in this culture is putting such a performative layer on type of all of their social interactions.
Right.
Yeah.
That she's just like, well, everyone's lying all the time.
Yeah.
I need to like look deeper into their personality and the circumstances of their life. Because even when she goes in to see Jerry for the second time, she clocks the photo of his wife on the desk. She's just like not really considering all the angles of who he is as a guy versus what he's saying to her.
Right.
And she's obviously not seeing him as a suspect the first time. She's just like, there's so many disparate elements here, and I'm just trying to trace them. Where the fuck do the cars come from, right?
Yeah.
And in the first scene, he's not a good liar, but the only thing he really fucks up is he takes like 10 seconds to answer one question. There's the moment, I'm trying to remember what the question is, where she asks him something, and he just locks in eye contact with her, kind of pleasantly smiling for like 10 seconds.
It's because she says Brainerd.
Yes.
And he knows because he's already had the conversation with Carl, who said 3 people in Brainerd.
Right.
Right.
So
blood has been shed, Jerry.
Right.
Blood has been shed.
And he's doing the math of trying to decide how much do I pretend I know?
Yeah.
How much can I get away with? How dumb can I play here?
Yeah.
And even still, she kind of takes him on face value because I think, once again, she lives in a world where everyone is kind of putting on airs all the time.
No, I hear you.
They're always sort of covering their real feelings and masking them.
Yeah,
the second time, he so immediately drops the cover.
And he's so fucked anyway at that point. Like, he is like,
And she doesn't know how deeply he's involved in all of this, but knows he's covering up something and it might help her get to it. Yeah. That the second she starts pushing him and he starts being like, I don't appreciate your rudeness, that's what really triggers her in my mind, is her being like, if this guy's dropping the politeness this quickly, but he's 10 times guiltier than I thought.
Okay, no, here's the thing.
Yes.
She busts William H. Macy wide open. And he runs away. He's fleeing the interview.
Right. He thinks he can just drive away.
Off. And that means that, yes.
You can. He's not under arrest.
No, he's not. But he is fleeing the interview.
But that's also, that immediately makes him look even 100 times more guilty.
That doesn't get her to the cabin. No. And there's things that happen in this movie that we don't see. They kill his wife.
Yeah.
We don't, she starts screaming,
Yeah.
Like that's the end of that. We never see it. We don't know how that transpired.
And rewatching it this time, this was the first time, I can't believe I've seen this movie countless times. It was the first time I noticed the torrent of blood on the stove.
It's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like everything disintegrates off screen, essentially. You know what I mean? Like much like in the move they pull in No Country.
Yeah.
Of just like, you can figure it out.
Well, I feel like they talk about this, but their process of writing together, they're like, if the idea of writing a scene doesn't seem exciting to us,
just move on.
Then you just don't need to do it in the movie.
Right.
Then like, what's the next scene that's more interesting, and how do we get whatever information we need across in a different context?
Doesn't find them because of Macy. She finds them because she essentially is like, well, before I leave, I'll just kind of drive around those lakes that guy mentioned.
Yeah.
From the bar.
Right.
And she just fucking drives around, and then she sees a burnt Sienna. Yeah. And that's it.
Right. And you have that moment.
It's the most like sort of caveman detective work.
Is it Lou over the radio who's like, Margie, be careful? Yes. And you do feel that sense of just like, is she really just going to fucking pull up to the driveway?
Own. Yes.
This is the moment where her pregnancy like becomes a story point for real. It's like, you should not, you are the last person that should go like storming into this remote place with murderers, you know?
Because he says like, we'll send a couple cars over, and she's just like, I can't blow this.
Yes, and she does a great job. I mean, she fucking shoots him in the leg and like gets him. I mean, she does crush it.
She shoots him. It's amazing. The framing is the same as when that man in the red jersey goes running into the tundra away from the upside down car.
Yes,
and now it's Carl.
It's the daytime version,
running at the same
shot,
angle,
the exact same movement. Yeah. And Carl goes for the kill shot, and she does not. She shoots him in the leg. It's a skill shot. She like nails it. You see her take her time, line it up, fire one bullet.
And she fires twice.
Does she?
She misses the first shot.
Okay.
She misses the first shot.
But she basically hits him.
It's pretty implausible that she hits him at all. She's like shooting with like a 29 revolver.
It's another thing that like belies that she is in fact.
She's a little magical.
But also that she's like fucking good.
Yeah,
right? You're like, this is someone who's gone through like insane fucking firearm training, has like spent time at a shooting range to nail that shot even in 2. And also, she's not trying to kill him. She's trying to incapacitate him, which she does.
She gets him.
And then she, off camera, goes out on the lake, cuffs him, brings this wounded man back to her car, takes him into custody and drives him into town. It's
7 months pregnant.
It's awesome.
And we don't need to see any
And it's
of that.
like, I just solved the murder of 5 people? 5? 6?
Yes. Well, there are 6 people killed in the movie, 5 that she knows of.
Right. So the 3, the 2 bystanders and the state trooper, the poor guy at the parking garage that Buscemi shoots, Harvey Presnell, who Buscemi, and then the wife.
Oh, so
and
I
then
guess
Buscemi himself. 7? So 7.
Yeah.
7. I forgot
7
about
people.
the parking attendant.
Everyone forgets about the poor parking attendant.
Yeah.
Who just was one parking attendant too many for Carl, I feel like. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because like the thing with Carl, we didn't mention, of course, that like when they shoot each other, which rocks so much. Like, it's just, open the fucking gate. It's just him doing that where it's like the guy could probably just open the gate, but clearly like the guy's like, huh? And Carl's like shooting him.
It's the moment.
I bet the guy said like, buddy, are you okay? That's what got him shot.
It is the moment in every
Look
rewatch
at my fucking face
where I get so
Elise Square
actively annoyed about Buscemi being robbed of the supporting actor nomination, because I'm just like, him being able to play peak Buscemi irritation while also playing the like, I cannot talk. I am bleeding
and the way
out.
He enters the cabin and he's like, get a load of me, right?
It's so good.
Funny. And the way he walks out, where he kicks the door open and then stumbles on the step as he's like going down into the yard, it's amazing.
The indignity of him trying to get the paper towels to cover up, to stop the bleeding, and having the weird scrap stuck to his face with the pattern on it. But I'm like, in that scene with Peter Stormare, I'm like, he just doesn't cheat at all in terms of how limited this guy's jaw would be at this moment.
Yeah.
Like,
how do you split a car, you dummy?
Right.
Dummy.
And the feeling that like, not only can this guy barely speak, but the more he talks, the more pain he's in. And yet he's so annoyed, he's going to keep fucking monologuing. And you see like his eyes going bloodshot as like the longer he's fucking getting to this philosophical argument that he deserves the car, the more he's like going white with pain.
Yes. No, it's wonderful. He's not even mad that he killed her.
No. He doesn't care. He just wants the fucking car.
He just wants the car.
Right.
You know what else we didn't talk about is at this point, he's already buried the money and put the world's weakest little marker that is obviously not going to be there tomorrow.
It'll be like covered with snow immediately.
Another horrible plan. Another just like poorly thought
in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
Like just
why not
snow.
drive like a block away from town, from the house?
Right.
Put it next
behind
to
a tree.
A tree, exactly.
But to your point, even if he makes it out of the confrontation with Stormare ahead, gets the car, and is on his way, what are the odds he finds that spot again?
He's going to collapse.
What are the odds that the money is still there? What are the odds he lives for another 12 hours?
Right.
Why does he even go to the cabin? Why doesn't he just take the $1 million and just peace out?
That's actually an exceptionally, I guess he wants the car.
Or maybe he doesn't want Stormare coming after him. He's like, I give this guy 40 grand and then I have one enemy in the world.
I guess there's that.
I doubt he thinks that way.
Do we think at that moment that he doesn't know that Stormare killed?
He doesn't know.
Right.
Because he says, what happened? And he's like, she started screaming.
So he's going back maybe to try
I think Zach's right. That he's kind of like, I do not want Stormare on my ass. That guy's scary.
Yes.
I'll give him the money. And then
he thinks
I'll
he can
split. And then they haggle, and you're like, "Stop haggling! Jesus Christ, give him an extra 10 grand."
Yeah.
Now you said there's the moment where he leans in with sort of the shock at Jerry's cruelty in hiring them, right?
Mm-hmm.
When he realizes the plot. The only other moment where Stormare has a really big reaction to something, and he underplays it, is like when he clocks McDormand. She's been yelling. He can't hear her over the wood chipper.
Right.
Then he feels her in the peripheral vision. He turns slowly, and he looks to her like a small child who knows that they've just gotten in trouble.
Right.
He plays that one moment with vulnerability where he kind of knows he can't beat this woman.
Yes. And he knows he's caught, like you said.
Yes, and he looks scared, and he also looks embarrassed.
Yeah.
He looks embarrassed by everything he's done, and that she's caught him in this moment not looking cool. And he obviously throws the log at her.
Yes.
He wants to get away, but like
he's got no chance. He's walking into a lake.
It's like so apathetic at that point. Yeah.
It's the same as again, the parallels of Macy and these guys is the same. They just bad decision compounded on top of bad decision. And it ends with both of them just futilely running for where they don't know. You know, just
Macy's the same.
Get away.
Right? What's he going to do if he gets out that motel window? Like,
yeah. You're going to get caught somewhere else. It's wild. I don't have that interpretation, Griffin. I don't see his expression at the wood chipper as like shame and embarrassment. I see it as like, oh, there's another person here. The wizard continues. I do think that there is a moment where he shows a little inner life when he's watching the soap opera and the woman says, I'm pregnant.
Yes, and he actually reacts.
He looks genuinely engaged and surprised.
He is. And it is, you're right. It's the only moment he actually seems like to have a human understanding of emotions.
He's like, I can't believe she's pregnant and she didn't tell him.
Even if he's not embarrassed, he is so unflappable in every other moment where he is confronted with a sense of violence. Right.
I mean, obviously I try to think of this entire audience being like, there's a foot in the wood chipper. Obviously it became the butt of a million jokes.
Another thing where I knew watching this movie for the first time, you're getting to the iconic wood chipper versus that just being like, what the fuck?
He says it in Monsters, Inc. I think about that all the time.
He says it
Buscemi's character says, I'll feed you into a wood chipper to somebody. And wood chipper is part of Monsters,
I just remember I have it on my fucking desk, but this was the promotional novelty snow globe they made of the wood chipper.
Oh, there it is.
Came with the VHS when the movie was released.
Is the snow white or red?
Okay, so this is a reproduction of the vintage one. The snow is white. The vintage one, the snow was red, but they've all yellowed over time.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
There you go.
So that's why I got a newer one.
I think there's some story I read.
Of this, like the sort of like memified merchandise version of the wood chipper before I got to just see that scene hit out of nowhere.
It's so annoying that when I search for Fargo on IMDb, the TV show comes up first.
Well, yeah, this movie's based on the TV show.
Oh, God. I was trying to find, there's some like only Stormare knew how to work the wood chipper. Like the Coens didn't understand how wood chippers worked or something. Like I can't remember what it was, but
That you get her final monologue.
The final monologue. And then the coda of him getting the stamp. Like, you walk out of this movie really feeling kind of awesome.
Yeah.
I think that is part of the magic.
Well, she's still...
You're sort of like, there's something right with the world.
She's
like,
still speaking in a folksy way in that final monologue. But you can tell that she is like actually disturbed by what she's put together in her head. The understanding of why did this many people have to die?
Right. But like, I just feel like you're watching this movie and you're like, like the darkness, there is like a sort of some like resistance to the darkness. You know what I mean? Like she's still here and there is something like comforting about like, it's not all evil.
Not to read too much into it, but like the last scene is basically a metaphor for what you're saying, right? Of Norm being like, they gave me the 2-cent stamp. I'm sorry. The 3-cent stamp, and he's viewing it as this sort of like...
It's a second place or whatever.
Right. And she's just like, they're important. When they raise the prices, you need the 3-cent stamps.
Right.
And it's sort of like, does it feel meaningless for someone like Marge to exist in a world where this many deaths are going to happen and you can't prevent evil? And it's like, Marge is a 3-cent stamp. She is making like some small contribution to trying to like stop the ugliness of the world, even if she's not able to do it holistically, because she's not
her optimism is intact.
Yes.
You know?
Right. It has not curdled her soul. She is not like truly magical as much as the movie sometimes veers close to framing her that way, but she talks a lot about it like being really important to her that she pull it back from feeling like she is just this sort of like impossibly perfect comedic conceit. But she's like, she is able to hold on to her soul, live a rounded life, and like ACAB. But I watched this movie and I'm like, this is what cops should be. This is like the only positive prototype I've seen for like in a functional society what a cop would do, kind of.
Sure. I guess so. I don't know.
You're short of making robot cops, obviously.
There's a cop in Weapons, right? Alden's playing a cop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Excited. So
he's
fun.
not as
nice.
He's not as angelic. Yeah.
Less nice.
Yeah.
But I just the Weapons trailer, that shot of Alden, it was just fun. I like a fucked up cop.
You like a fucked up cop?
It's a good movie. That's there's juice there.
A bad lieutenant?
Sure.
Sure.
You tell me this lieutenant's bad? What if there was a bad lieutenant? Zach, before we wrap to, Fargo's sort of legacy or whatever, is there anything else we have not said about Fargo? We've been talking for a while.
I don't think we praised the score enough. We praised it, but score's amazing.
But it's like operatic, like for such a minor kind of like story about dirtbags. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you saying like there's the one moment where the score is sort of like playing up and joking with the movie itself. In the break-in, I think you said.
Well, I'm not saying that it's playful. I'm saying it's as playful as it gets in that scene, and it's not that playful. It's still kind of dark.
Yeah, I forgot to bring this up in the Blood Simple episode, but there's a really good feature on the Criterion disc of Skip Livesey and Carter Burwell talking, and how Skip Livesey was the one who brought Carter Burwell in.
To the Coens, yes,
right. Recommended, saying, "I think you could be a good film composer, even though he had no previous ambition," and brought him over to the Coens and thought like, you guys would match in tone. And he said that he was like, I never thought about doing this for a living. I should try to study the art of film scoring.
Yeah.
And so he said the first movie he rented to try to watch through that prism, he was like, Hitchcock movies have good music. Let me rent some Hitchcock movies.
Sure.
And he watched The Birds. And then only at the end of watching The Birds did he realize, oh, this movie has no conventional score.
I picked a weird one, essentially.
Right. That like Herman worked with Hitchcock to intentionally build the soundscape of the sounds of the birds and use it in a way similar to music. But that is a movie where Herman was like, it's actually better, I think, if you don't have music on this. And he said that like it is complete chance and sort of a mistake on his part that that was the first movie he chose to study when trying to get his head around film scoring. And yet he thinks it was so instrumental to him to have the confidence to be like, sometimes the move is to not do it. Sometimes the move is to like zag. I shouldn't feel the compulsion to like literally underscore everything and accentuate what is there on the page.
Right.
And you're right. It's like sometimes the score feels apocalyptic, but the quietest sort of like piano version of the main theme is also so deeply sad.
Yeah.
It feels so tragic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. It's a tragic movie.
Yeah.
A lot of people die. Family gets destroyed. It's kind of it, I guess. Most of the other people who die, who cares?
Bag of money lost.
That parking guy, I heard he was a jerk.
Yeah. The indignity of you just saw me pull in here.
Oh yeah, you got to pay him the $4.
But that feeling of
it's
like,
another moment where I'm like,
just
pay him the fucking $4. This guy could talk to you about like someone to you.
Yes.
And
you
Carl
just
can't let it
crime.
go.
Try not to stand out like that.
Yes.
Yes.
It's wild how bad he is.
Yeah.
The film was released in March.
Wild.
That is crazy.
It basically takes 1 year for it to win 2 major Oscars.
But beyond that, it didn't premiere at a festival.
Yeah.
Didn't like have any particularly kind of like complicated rollout or whatever.
Right. Wins Best Director at Cannes 2 months after it was released in the United States.
Yes. It played at Cannes. The jury gave the Palme d'Or. Francis Ford Coppola was the chair. Gave the Palme d'Or to Secrets and Lies. Mike Leigh's Secrets and Lies, but it won Best Director. And then, of course, it won 2 Oscars, Actress and Screenplay, and it was nominated for Best Picture. It got great reviews.
It basically swept the Spirit Awards. I think it won every category, maybe. Yeah.
And I think it's still their. Yes, I think it's their move. Their most iconic.
It's their core movie,
despite No Country obviously being the smash that it was. I do think you kind of can't argue with Fargo.
And in an interesting way, No Country feels like a less humorous version of Fargo. They are so similar in so many regards. And even just this notion of like, is it even worth trying to fight the darkness of the world. Like, what difference is it going to make? Obviously, Chigurh becomes more mythological, and the whole film has this more sober tone.
But
that
Chigurh is this evil myth figure, and Marge is kind of a good mythic figure in a weird way.
But I was thinking about, like, at this point in time, Fargo winning Best Screenplay is, like, very in line with what they would do in the 90s and the early 2000s of like the movie that is really cool that the Oscar goes for, but they're like, is this a little too weird to actually give it Best Picture?
Right.
The Pulp Fiction kind of thing. And now I think like this movie would win Best Picture. It is like
a completely different world. And Nora just won Best Picture. Absolutely.
Like you can't imagine them being like, well, it's too funny or it's too slight or any of those sorts of things. No country has a sense of like overriding grimness that I think finally made it feel like these guys have gotten serious enough we could give them the Oscar, which in the 90s there was like a prejudice of like, is this all kind of a goof for them?
Right.
Despite like, you kind of can't deny the screenplay for this movie. It is so like tightly plotted, but also it is such a great example of every single line that every character has in this movie could only be said by that one character. Like every character's voice is so unique and distinct and serves a different function and is like so right there and vivid on the page.
Still beat Jerry Maguire in Secrets and Lies. Like it was tough competition that year.
Yeah.
Yes. That's sort of the indie Oscars that year. That was
right. That's the other thing Billy keeps joking about. That Jerry Maguire was the only studio movie.
March 8th, 1996, Griffin. This film's opening on limited 36 screens at number 16.
What was the widest it ever went? Do you have that? I'm just curious. I gotta ask questions.
It made $24 million domestic. It
60
opened
worldwide, I think.
51. It went as wide as about 700 screens.
Okay.
It is not number one. Number one is a big hit comedy that is new this week.
March 96.
Yep.
It's a big hit comedy.
Made $180 million worldwide. Big hit.
It's a big hit with a comedy star. Primarily comedy star?
It features a major comedy star and then a major serious actor.
Okay.
And then another kind of up-and-coming comedy star, or I don't know how to describe it.
Okay. Serious actor, major comedy star, March 96. Who was the distributor of this picture?
It is from MGM.
It's not The Birdcage.
It is The Birdcage.
It is The Birdcage?
Wow.
Okay.
Mike Nichols is The Birdcage.
Yeah.
Good movie.
Yeah. Big hit.
That's what's just crazy about it. That you're like, that thing was a blockbuster.
Yeah. And was like not like a fucking political hot potato.
Yeah.
That everyone just went to see it and like funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Number 2 is also new this week. Less of a good movie.
Okay.
A sequel.
It's
family
a sequel.
film.
It's a family film sequel.
Yeah.
It's not like is it a 2? Is it a deuce?
It's a 2.
It's a 2. It's not like Home Alone 2. Or
No.
I'm sorry, Homeward Bound 2.
It is Homeward Bound 2.
I got it.
Lost in San Francisco.
The debut film from director. Do you know who directed Homeward Bound 2?
No. Oh,
David
wow, that's
Ellis.
Funny. David R. Ellis.
Director of Final Destination 2.
Final Destination 2.
2 and 4.
I just rewatched all of them leading up to Bloodlines, which I just saw and ripped so fucking hard.
What's so interesting about the Final Destination movies is that he made 2, which I think is arguably the best.
Until Bloodlines, I thought it was the best.
The logs one.
The log scene is the greatest. It's not just the greatest Final Destination sequence, and I haven't seen Bloodlines, so
and you will love Bloodlines.
Yeah,
I
really
sure I will.
think you will lose your mind. Yeah.
But that log sequence is that's a masterpiece of anything.
I agree.
It's just amazing.
I was rewatching all of them, and I watched the log scene, and I was like, you know what? I'm not ready to move on from this, and I restarted the movie from the beginning and just watched the first 15 minutes again.
The logs are so good.
It is but incredibly well staged.
Yes, it is.
And the sound design.
All of it.
But then here's my thing. He made, in my opinion, what is also arguably the worst one, the fourth one.
Yes.
Which is one of those things where you're like, I don't get why this is bad and the others are good, because it's not diverting from the formula.
No.
It is doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And yet the tone of it is off. It's too nasty.
Yes.
All the characters kind of are just annoying.
I think as the kids would say, it just feels like the Temu version of Final Destination. Everything just feels kind of off.
It's just funny that like he made the best one and the worst one. Anyway.
No, I was going down the rabbit hole of him and being like, man, Final Destination 2 is so fucking good. Where did this guy come from? And he has one of those. He died weirdly young in bizarre circumstances that were never explained. But he has one of these like studio journeyman careers where he was like a stunt performer, and then he was a stunt supervisor, and then he was a second unit director.
Yeah,
he just had like 15 years experience in different positions.
Yeah.
Then directed a fucking talking dog movie,
right.
and then did Final Destination 2.
My wife worked with him on Shark Night.
Oh,
that was his last film.
Yes.
And she loved him, said he was just
wife
really great to work with.
Was the star of Shark Night, was she not?
She was.
Shark Night 3D. Let's put some respect
3D?
on that. Yeah.
When's our last shark movie? Is it time for, I guess, the Meg 2?
Yeah.
I guess that wasn't that long.
And there was a 47 meters down sequel.
That seems less. I just feel like every couple years, some guy in Hollywood is like, oh, and pulls a lever, and they're like, it's time for another shark movie. You know what I mean?
It is weird that
there's just some guy in the bowels of Hollywood is like, oh, the shark movie, it's time for another one.
It almost always works.
Yeah.
If your budget is low enough, anytime there's some shitty looking shark movie that comes out, like 47 meters down 2, and you're just like, no one's going to see that, and then just quietly makes $45 million.
Number 3 at the box office is a romantic drama with like big movie stars, written by like big shots.
Is it the Baldwin Meg Ryan one?
No.
Okay.
That's no, you're thinking of Andy Garcia, Meg Ryan. You're thinking of When a Man Loves a Woman.
No, I'm not. I'm thinking of Prelude to a Kiss.
Oh yeah, sure. No, it's not that.
Which
it's
Baldwin,
even more prestige than that.
Baldwin brings up Prelude to a Kiss so much on HBO Max's The Baldwins, as if it was obviously his Fargo. Like every once in a while, you end up on a perfect movie, and it's so clear that he read the script and thought it was going to be the one that lasted forever. Had a great experience making it, and it just didn't connect. Okay,
I remember I saw it the year it came out, so I had to be real, 16. Yeah. I remember thinking this is a great movie. A 16-year-old boy,
sure
I was like, I love this.
But it definitely has not lasted, and he talks about it as if it was like the pinnacle of his leading man career.
Right.
So yeah, Prelude to a Kiss has been on my mind. Okay, it's more prestige-y than that.
The actors involved are major sort of serious stars. They're getting a little older, although the female lead is...
It's not Frankie and Johnny.
No.
But it's kind of, is it in that zone?
No, that's based on like a play that people liked. This is based on a book.
Pacino and Pfeiffer's prestige. It's based on a book.
Yeah, it's based on a book that I think was about a real person, and it's sort of like fictionalizing it. It is like a forgotten movie. It was nominated for an Oscar for its song because it has like an absolute banger of a like big love ballad.
Interesting. It's not like Dying Young, but is it like that level of weepy?
I don't even know. I don't know if you need to weep.
Ballad.
I think people die.
Who's the distributor?
It's Disney. Touchstone.
It's a Touchstone 96.
Yep.
It's not Phenomenon, which we talked about is in that same year.
No, big stuff.
And it's obviously based on
You
true
know what?
story.
You might not know this movie. Like, this movie is so forgotten. It's best known because the people who wrote it wrote a book about writing it and how hard it was to write it.
Give me one of the stars.
Robert Redford.
Oh, fuck.
It's got a great title. It's got the kind of title a grown-up movie had in the 90s.
It's not Havana.
No.
Fuck. It's
All right, the other star is Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yep.
The movie was directed by John Avnet.
Yes.
And written by Joan Didion and John Gregory Dunn.
Right. Is it called like Blank and Blank?
Yes.
Fuck. I know it has like a clear present.
Zach, I assume you don't know the title of this forgotten movie.
Is it Up Close and Personal?
Up Close and Personal.
Wow.
Robert Redford,
I had the rhythm in my head.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
I knew it was dun dun and dun.
Stockard Channing, Joe Mantegna, James Rebhorn. That's a movie about grown-ups.
That is a grown-up movie.
I don't know what it's about. I just knew when I was a kid, I was like, but it has the song Because You Loved Me.
Oh.
Written by Diane Warren, but performed by Celine Dion, which does rock. Yeah. It's just like a Diane Warren torch song.
It is fascinating to look through as we're in 2025 year of our
Big
Lord.
flop.
Diane Warren losing her 30th Academy Award nomination or whatever. And I was advocating, like, give it to her this year. Let's just fucking get this over with.
Sure.
You basically look, the first 10 nominations, you're like, all of these would have been respectable wins.
Yeah, Because You Love Me is a
And
great
now
one.
she's overdue, and every song she's written in the last 20 years has sucked ass.
Stinks. Number 4 at the box office is a comedy that I'm sure Ben saw 5 to 7 times on cable.
Okay, now Ben recently brought up to me in confidence that the most offended he has ever been by anything you've ever said on the podcast.
I assumed he did or didn't watch some movie.
You said, Ben, that's definitely one of your big movies.
In a past box office game, one of the movies you described as you must have been a huge fan.
You must have watched this one. Sure. What was it?
No, you made it out to be like, this defined your personality.
Yeah, I doubt they did that.
Malibu's Most Wanted.
Hell yeah.
I knew this
Are
came
you
up
sure it didn't?
in the last couple days.
Astounded.
Ben was still griping about this to me truly 5 days ago.
You're not a Jamie Kennedy guy?
I mean, we all got X'd at one time.
That's what I'm saying.
Right?
Yeah, America got X.
Like a couple of times, sure, I got X'd. But I wouldn't say I'm a
movie,
Jamie Kennedy fan.
I don't care. This
you
movie
truly
you did.
framed it as like, Ben, this must have been seismic for you.
I am realizing my outfit is giving Malibu's Most Wanted.
You are.
Ben, your shirt is
You're
not
looking a
helping
little
you out
No,
right now.
it is not at all.
You look like you're about to like do some b-boy moves, you know.
Yeah.
And everyone,
Well, that's more kicking it old school. That's a different Jamie Kennedy
this
movie.
film is a broad comedy starring a sitcom star.
I just need to set up the stakes to see if Ben's going to be offended by this.
No, he definitely isn't.
Let's see. It's a broad comedy starring a sitcom star.
From a director of movies that Ben loves, other movies.
Is
that
it David
Ben
S.
loves.
Ward's Down Periscope?
Correct.
I believe that is one of your favorite movies.
Yeah, I
right?
like
Yeah,
that
okay.
movie.
I
He's got
usually
you
got
pegged
it
there.
right.
No, you're right.
He's got you pegged.
You ever seen Down Periscope, Zach?
No.
That's the Kelsey Grammer submarine sex comedy?
I can visualize the cover.
Yeah, never seen it. I personally have not seen it.
We're getting ready. It will have happened by this point, but to do a live show in New York about King Ralph, one of Ben's favorite movies ever, and a movie we've been threatening to discuss for about 10 straight years. Yeah. Ben quietly realized that he is a David S. Ward, a tourist, over the course of doing this podcast, that every movie David S. Ward, Academy Award-winning screenwriter of The Sting, directed.
Major League, King Ralph, Major League 2, Down Periscope, and then The Program, the sports drama. I think you don't know.
No,
Okay.
I'm not familiar.
Every other one.
James Caan.
Yeah.
I gotta watch The Sting. Probably like the
Sting?
movie that he's known for.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, you should watch it.
Number 4 at the box office is a horror film. It's the fourth.
It's the fourth.
Number 5 at the box office, sorry.
Number
This
5.
is the fourth.
Okay, it's the fourth film in a series.
Mhm.
In 1996.
Mhm. I think it's the last theatrical
Is it
release.
Hellraiser?
Hellraiser 4, subtitled.
So 3 is Hell on Earth?
Possibly. Yes.
4 is... It's not Inferno?
No, that's 5.
Fuck. 4 is... Do you know this, Zach? Are you
No.
like...
Are you a Hellraiser guy, Zach?
I love the first one.
First one's incredible.
Do you know this, Ben?
I don't
Yeah, I know
remember the
this.
title.
I'm the only person who knows this.
4. No, but I know...
That's not true.
This is somewhere in my brain.
Yeah. I think I'm
4
going to just make you do it.
Is the word hell in the
No.
subtitle?
No. The film is Hellraiser
Dominion?
4. No. That has not yet. There have not yet been one of those.
Okay.
The film is Hellraiser 4 Bloodline.
Well, like Final Destination.
I'd never seen it. That's a film where like the director got fired midway through by Miramax and was replaced and shit. Yeah, I think it's a complete
because the director
disaster.
was a Cenobite. That was the first time they tried
found him
to
out.
right.
Yeah.
There
No.
was pushback of why aren't you letting Cenobites tell their own stories?
Number 6 at the box office is Broken Arrow. I'm just going by that.
Uh-huh.
Number 7 is Rumble
That
in
was
the Bronx.
pretty funny, and I
It's
think
like
it'll
a
stand the
fun
test of time.
This is a fun, trashy time at the movies.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
go see Rumble in the Bronx and then Homeward Bound 2 and Hellraiser 4. This is just a bunch of garbage.
Yeah.
Happy Gilmore is still hanging around. Mr. Holland's Opus, the biggest piece of trash of all of these movies.
Yeah, no movie you've maybe attacked more in your life than
Fucking
Mr.
hate that
Holland's.
movie. Do you like
Opus.
Mr. Holland's Opus, Zach? I know you're not.
I haven't
trying
seen
not
it
to
since
be-
it came out, and I have very little recall of that movie. I
Since
don't
his
remember
big
liking it.
take is that the Opus sucks.
It's 7 hours of this guy abusing his students, his wife, just being an absolute crank.
Yeah,
And then and then they're like, well, you should finally do your Opus. We all actually loved you the whole time. And they do his Opus and it just lays an egg. It's the worst Opus ever.
The story is that the Opus sucks.
The story is that he's always working on his Opus and he's so frustrated by how he has to be a teacher. And he's like, God, I hate being a teacher. This sucks.
But-
and then at the end, the students are like, well, we loved you and we'll play your Opus now. And then they play shit.
it is a classic example of a movie writing a check for itself to
Right.
depict a fictional, profound work of art. And by the time you get to the performance, you're like, am I supposed to think this is good?
I
and
love
the
when that
movie
happens.
frames it as an artistic
Yeah,
triumph.
but the movie's like, he did it.
He was
His
justified.
Opus.
Yeah.
Yeah. the worst. I mean, anyone else in that movie, like, and he got an Oscar nomination. People like the performance. He plays it so ornery. It's crazy. Number 10 at the box. Yeah, I know. This might shock you. Number 10 at the box office, Muppet Treasure Island.
One of the greats.
Great movie.
That's much like Fargo, one of the few perfect films. Not a hair, not a single Muppet fur strand out of place in that film.
Zach, we have kept you for far too long.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Well, that's very
so
nice
much
of you to
for
say.
doing this.
This is a perfect movie.
It is.
And
It is.
I assume Weapons is similarly perfect.
Yes.
And is in theaters now, and people should go see it.
Yeah.
I am truly excited for Weapons.
Yeah.
I wonder how this, well, whatever. We'll see. Scratch that thought. Hope it's a good time.
I hope so too. Yeah. We're very excited.
Zach, it's going to go great.
Yeah.
It's so stressful, you know.
I'm very
the looming
sympathetic.
release is a terrifying time.
And you're about to enter like insane ramp up.
Yes, right. You have to
press
promote
and
a
all that
movie
shit.
and deal with the feedback and start your next movie like simultaneously.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I
Which is a comfort because I'll be working on the next one. Like I'll be in Europe when this comes out. So I'll have to come back briefly for press. But you know, whatever happens with Weapons, I hope it goes well. But no matter what, I'll be able to go back and just, you know, bury myself in production, which is, you know,
Right, but don't drink any like weird vials that you find
sure.
in any like labs or anything like that, okay?
Okay.
Just make sure and like, you know, put all the gems in the correct gargoyle eyes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Use the right color keys. I met you like a year ago and you had, I think, basically like locked your cut of Weapons, but obviously there were still like post-production finishing stuff to do, and
Sure.
you knew the release date was a ways off. And I said, how do you feel about it? And you just said, I love it so much. And you said it not with like a level of arrogance. You were like, I have no idea how anyone's going to receive it. I don't know if the studio's going to like it. I don't know if it's going to play well. But I was like, that must be such a great feeling like step back and look and be like, man, I made the thing I wanted to make, and I'm existing in this state of purity before anyone else has to see it.
Yeah, and exactly. And right now, you know, in that time, I hadn't even done a test screening, and it was just my thing. And it was like, I'm very, very proud because the movie I had in my head when I was writing it is the movie that I see when I watch it. I was able to do that, and that's not always the case. So in that regard, I'm, you know, I'm totally in love with the movie. I really am. But now it's like, you know, you got to like send your kid to the first day of school and hope no one's mean to it.
Right.
You know, and
is everyone going to think your kid's a loser?
Yeah. Yeah. So it'll stop being my perfect, pure little thing, and it'll start being something that everyone's allowed to have a say on and all that, which is, you know, that's what I signed up for. That's okay. But
that's
right.
That's the job.
This is right. The bill coming due, but it'll be great.
Yeah.
I like the title.
Thanks.
I feel like I get what it's going to be about.
Do you? Have you seen the trailer?
No.
Okay.
But I'm not necessarily a trailer guy.
Oh,
I'm more of I just like to go in.
Yeah.
I love that. Go in blind.
Yeah. I too try to go in fairly blind. I have seen the trailer, but the trailer is pretty mysterious.
Will you go to a theater late so you skip trailers?
I mean, I have.
I mean, unfortunately, I mean, we were talking about this before we got started. I, you know, at times will be late.
Mm-hmm.
And so I will miss them.
I can't relate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But you're not a like, you close your eyes and put your
I close
head
my eyes, I
down.
go, la, la, la. Yeah.
Some people do that.
No,
Yeah.
I watch them, whatever.
Well, thank you for being here. Excited to see Weapons. Encourage everyone to go see Weapons in the future where this episode is coming out and it's playing in theaters.
Yeah, we love that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And thank you all for listening. Please remember.
Thank you guys very much for having me.
Truly an honor, privilege. Look forward to doing it again if you will continue to tolerate us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, come back anytime and come to New York so we can, you know, do it IRL.
You'll come on and talk about the dangerous apartment from Big.
Okay, great.
Tune in next week for The Big Lebowski.
Who's doing The Big Lebowski?
Well, we'll cut it out if he's not actually available, but as far as we know, Seth Rogen.
Yes.
All right.
Another future bet that everything has worked out. And if not, that will be bleeped out.
We keep booking busy guys, including you, Zach. Yeah. And it's working out so far.
Yeah. We love our busy guys, don't we? And as always, all that just for a little bit of money.
Blank Check with Griffin and David is hosted by Griffin Newman and David Sims. Our executive producer is me, Ben Hosley. Our creative producer is Marie Barty Salinas, and our associate producer is AJ McKeon. This show is mixed and edited by AJ McKeon and Alan Smithy. Research by JJ Birch. Our theme song is by Lane Montgomery and the Great American Novel, with additional music by Alex Mitchell. Artwork by Joe Bowen, Ollie Moss, and Pat Reynolds. Our production assistant is Minnick. Special thanks to David Cho, Jordan Fish, and Nate Patterson for their production help. Head over to blankcheckpod.com for links to all of the real nerdy shit. Join our Patreon, Blank Check Special Features, for exclusive franchise commentaries and bonus episodes. Follow us on social at Blank Check Pod. Subscribe to our weekly newsletter, Checkbook, on Substack. This podcast is created and produced by Blank Check Productions.